Let's get started.
Here we go. Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this. Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
For the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar.
Welcome to the party.
And Simon.
Fuck all y'all.
There we go. That's better. What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, come on, no new patrons, right? I'm crazy?
Yes, Brother Matt, there are no new Patreons, but there was a Patreon who said last week's episode was the worst episode they ever heard in their life. So thank you for the feedback. Keep it going. Like and subscribe. Smash that hat button.
Smash that hat button.
We have a hat
Hit the
button?
like button. Follow me at Kamara Bar. YouTube.
Smash
donate
that hat
money.
button.
Join the Patreon. Post Joe. Are you garbage? Are you trash?
You might be trash.
Moon debates. It's the hottest Patreon
We should do another moon debate.
in Ottawa.
Where we all just agree that they didn't land on the moon.
Well, in one of the episodes, Joe did I guess it was a steel man. It was very interesting considering his stated stance.
His
No
stated stance.
Patreons this week, but thank you to all the Patreons.
I'm over at October.
Yeah.
It's over in October.
Understandable.
Stop the podcast October.
Sober October is never good for Patreons. Everyone comes to their senses.
For the listeners, technically, this is our 5-year anniversary. When this drops, the day this episode drops, will be 5 years from the day we went and bought a shitload of gear, or a little bit of gear, and failed at our first episode.
Happy birthday, everyone.
Yeah,
And I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you if you're still here.
it's true. Kamar, how was your week?
I might be retarded. I went to the MTO to get my license back.
Okay.
What is the MTO?
Ministry of Transportation office.
Okay. Never heard anyone refer to it that
No,
way
but that
before.
is correct.
What is it? What I don't know. The Service Ontario.
That's what I would have said, but whatever.
Anyways,
It's a DMV, so everyone understood.
yeah, same difference. When I got there, the now serving 35, and I pulled my number and it said 176.
Holy fuck.
I was like, "Is this a movie?" But then I read further, and it just said they don't. It's I-76. They don't have.
Yeah, there's no, yeah.
So I was only 40 behind,
Oof, still.
and a very ambitious barber was like, "Do you want a haircut?" I was like, "You know what? I got nothing else to do."
I know where you were.
You went to that
Where else would
barber?
you go? That barber, I guess.
The best barber in Ottawa.
Yeah.
They have it written on their window.
Best barber in Ottawa. So I got a nice haircut. Still waiting. I think I waited an hour and a half. And when I got up to the counter, they told me I was at the wrong office.
Oh,
Because I didn't
my
want to be that
fuck.
guy
Who just
that
like
says,
buds
goes
ahead.
up.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to make sure, which I should have, because they would have told me.
Fucking idiot. You are retarded.
That sucks.
Admittedly
dude.
so, yeah.
That's a terrible story.
So that was, and I have a new hobby right now because we have a black chestnut tree in our yard. Mm-hmm. I like to throw the chestnuts onto the road, sort of like bocce almost, but get them just on the right side of the line so the cars run over them.
I thought he was going to say
It
we have
seems mildly racist.
I thought he was going to say we have a black chestnut tree in the black. So now my new thing is to go back and yell racial slurs at it.
At the tree.
It's my new favorite pastime.
No, just crushing the walnuts so the squirrels can't get them.
Funny.
Simon, how was your week? Are you done, Kamar? I'm so sorry. Did you
That's fall,
perform?
man. I love autumn. No, but I'll be, if you're in the Ottawa area, I'll be performing this Friday. Both shows, early show and late show.
There you go. If you're in Ottawa this Friday.
Got owned yesterday on the live stream.
Simon, how was your week, sir?
Oh, my week was fine, Matt. Thank you for asking. I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular old
Fuck
Simon's
everyone.
back. There we go.
But
That's-
just know, I appreciate that guy reaching out saying how terrible our episode was. I can imagine how terrible it must have been.
a friend of ours also reached out to me and was like, worst episode I've ever listened to.
Anyways, you know what? Like I said, fuck all y'all.
There, that's the Simon everyone loves
But
and
just
wants.
know
flip
deep down
flopping
inside, like I'm doing this for the podcast.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, I'm living my life good vibes only.
That okay.
Well, thank you. That's big of you, Si.
And
For those listening only, they just pounded each other and looked at me like I'm the fucking ugly stepchild.
Well, you were right.
oh, did you get on that train too?
What train?
The good vibes only.
Fuck off.
And then my week, yeah. So I was watching Flagrant,
Yeah.
and they did this whole for an hour doing this bit on with all due respect, and then they would insult each other's mothers and stuff.
Yeah.
That's ours.
That's yours.
I mean, we did that here.
You've
And
been
look,
doing that.
I'm not saying they copied us. Like, there's a lot of similar funny thought waves that go out through the world.
Yeah.
But now stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they did it. I'm calling them on it. And I expect there to be no more, with all due respect, on Flagrant.
You sent them a message.
And if we see it again,
That's
I think that's pushing the line.
That's a very weird stance for a show called the Joe Rogan Experience, where we just did a Patreon content where we stole literally the whole idea from another
lack
podcast.
some self-awareness.
Yeah, there is similarities, but this just seems like a whole Carlos Mencia type of scenario, you know?
See, I always found it weird. I found like if you don't have if something's not proprietary and you go out and you make that content and then someone huge copies that, I think that's a tip of the cap.
Yeah, you should know you're in the right lane.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
I don't care. And I just hope they stop.
It's weird being polite and then unpolite immediately.
That's
Impolite.
the whole point
Okay.
of with all due respect.
Gotcha.
No, I don't think they were copying us. But it was just ironic that they started doing that the day after we did our whole worst podcast ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was filled with all due respects.
Yeah. Too many.
Too many, I might
And
say.
there were no complaints.
And there were no complaints about what?
There no respect.
Oh, I don't know. I don't follow their
He doesn't follow other
comments.
people's respect
yeah.
level.
no, I don't. I'm not checking their comments.
Yeah.
Well,
There
it's
might
good to
have been
have
a
you
lot of
back.
people on there like, hey, somebody's already done that bit. Anyways,
It's just great to have you back. So
that's it. Yeah.
It's just great to have you back.
Thanks,
buddy.
That's a big week.
It wasn't huge. It was something, though.
My week was fine. Chuba Hubbard has a TD there, Simon.
Oh, thank you. That helps on one of my cards.
As the season rolls on, also, I just want to apologize for making you guys watch that fight yesterday.
Oh, yeah. That's what I wanted to say, too. So we all watched the Logan Paul Danis fight.
Spectacle. I
whatever
don't know if I call
was.
it fights. Spectacle seems like the right word.
It was so...
Debacle.
Once I started thinking about it after the fact,
Yeah.
I was very disappointed.
As you should
And
have
I've been
yeah.
wholly disappointed through every Jake Paul fight because I either want him to win to lose,
Yeah.
or at least go out there and let's see a real boxing match. But it never is. You know
Hold
what
on.
I
Well,
mean?
he starched Ben Askren.
Okay. Anyways,
I'm just trying to make the-
I'll let you think about that one a little bit. Like Ben Askren.
I'm just saying that if you were disappointed, your argument is that I've been disappointed in every fight. I get it. If you wanted to see him lose, it's disappointing, but at least he starts someone.
And even when he wins,
Yeah.
I don't find that I'm like, oh, that was a great boxing match.
Fair enough.
I'm just like, dude, these guys look like celebrity boxers just out there wasting my time, which was the whole point of this whole thing, is that time wasted. I can't get that back now.
I'm
it wasn't
apologizing.
your fault. I was so excited for it. They did such a great job
You were
with the
excited.
build up.
You were.
But it's exactly on brand for them, right? It's all pomp and no substance. So
Circumstance.
Uh-oh.
It's-
You should have just let
it's
sleeping
all
dogs lie there.
it's all for the show and then nothing to back it up. That's how every one of Jake Paul's fights have been. That's how every one of KSI's fights have been. And I'm just not getting sucked in anymore.
Well, KSI did lose.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me 6 times and I'm the retard, you know?
Yeah. I do agree with that. Yeah.
And some people say that security guards were stepping into the ring during the Logan Paul Danis fight, which would disqualify Logan Paul.
Why were they
you
stepping
imagine?
into the ring?
Just getting antsy with the
When he shot,
How
they
Danis was
stepped
behaving.
in the ring. And that would disqualify Logan.
in some they're not leagues, federations, I suppose.
Yeah.
They can only get once the bell goes, they can get the ring.
You know what?
do
When
the
I
cuts.
saw those two guys fight each other after talking so much trash, and it was just like, it was just so, it didn't look like boxing. There was no,
We didn't see it either, but KSI was bitching and moaning about how he definitely won the fight.
oh, I know. I saw well, it is crazy when you look at the numbers, Matt. Like I watched it.
They
It
don't
didn't
show the numbers. So
I know,
it's-
but I've heard them now.
Okay.
It didn't look like KSI won. I'm not saying that. But when you look at the numbers, it's like significant strikes. He had like 12.
Okay, but let me ask you, you watched the fight. I watched the fight. Did you feel like he hit 12 significant strikes during that fight? I didn't, if I'm being totally honest. No way he catches that. Oh, my God.
Again, I think that, no, I'm saying Fury. Fury had 12 significant strikes.
Gotcha, okay.
One with 12 significant strikes and a point deduction. That's everybody's problem. I don't care. Like, KSI can't win that fight. You can't go in there and do 0 and expect to win.
or just
Like,
flail.
I said draw.
well, they should have made it a draw, Matt. I could dig that because just be like, this wasn't boxing and we're just going to declare it. They should have declared every fight a draw, frankly.
Mike
Best fight
Tyson.
of the
Mike,
night, Salt Poppy.
Mike
So
Tyson
probably
should have come
knocked
into the
out.
ring and just KO'd both of them. Just one quick.
Would have been
Thanks for
would
coming.
have been nice. It really makes me wish that Mike Perry had fought Logan Paul because you would have seen somebody
Mike
get
Perry.
their
Yep,
ass
someone would have died.
kicked, man.
You
Watch
guys
it on
wanna
the
see a
YouTube.
dead
You
body?
can see our disappointment.
But yeah, I'm not getting sucked in again.
Kamar, you want to go over the guest list so we can do what we do here?
I'd love to. We start off the week with actually, I think everyone is a multiple time guest, but we start off with The Godfather 2046, Brian Redban, followed by author of the Immortality Key 2047, Brian Murescu.
Miriescu.
And we finish off with
Murescu.
everybody's favorite quirky sound man 2048, Reggie Watts.
Reggie's older than I thought he was. You want to rate the week?
You know, it was an amazing week. I'll give it a 3.
Oh, I don't know if I can match that energy. No, there's no way I can match that energy. 2.5. Bang average week.
Murescu.
That's what I said. Murescu, yeah.
I feel like you were putting 2 M's in there.
No, 2 R's. Murescu.
Okay. I give the week a 2.5. Usually an ancient civilizations guy would just pull that number way up, but I found that like that episode lacked a little bit. Just it got like subterfuge somehow.
Because it had so much homoerotic undertones.
Well, Joe and him are like, yeah, like boyfriend and girlfriend now. So, or
I mean,
boyfriend and boyfriend.
What
whatever.
happens in Crete stays in Crete.
Yeah, you got it. They weren't in Crete.
They were
but-
giggling wherever it was.
I feel like some longtime guest was listening to that episode multiple guests were probably listening to that episode real butthurt.
Real butthurt.
Expand.
Well, just like I've known Joe forever and I've never gone to Greece with him and his family. I've never.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
People
Like,
who know
I
him.
bet one of the Weinsteins was like, "This is fucking horseshit."
I think he just happened to be there
Yes,
at the
they ran
same time
into
as Joe.
in his
and,
defense.
yeah, and he's also a perfect tour guide for that. It's not like Tony Hinchcliffe would be able to lead Joe around the Acropolis or whatever.
This is where Stone Cold Steve Austin once fought.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's start it up, Kamar.
2047, Brian Murescu.
You got it right that time.
Almost
Murescu.
He does listen. Kamar's
4-hour
great.
marathon.
Kamar's great at mumbling through the part that matters. We know this about him. It's on his resume. Can say any last name.
They start off talking about homo no lady.
Homo no lady. That's funny.
You know, because you know how it's like
It's like your buddy's last name.
no homo,
No homo, yeah.
But you say
Homo, no lady.
Yeah. Homo, no lady.
lady.
Total homo.
Maglue knob.
Yeah, I'm a glue knob. Exactly.
And it's something that I talked about, just a weird, no, not, in a loose way. I think I said graveyards are weird.
What?
Yep.
The space he takes up, we
Oh,
bury
you
the
said
bodies.
graveyards are weird.
And I did not expand
And
on it.
that
I had nothing
how
more.
that is now homo naledi because
Well, this whole podcast, at the end, he keeps going back to, no matter how far back you go, there's some sort of traditions or ceremonies with death.
in civilization. That's part of what makes a civilization a
as humans.
civilization is you
We should have
start worrying about death.
We should have, like parking lots, underground cemeteries. So we dig like 8 stories down, have a massive open swath where you can bury and go and visit.
And you're
it's
gonna have
like a
stuff on.
So it
subway
takes up less
system
space,
for,
yeah.
But you're going to have buildings on top of those spirits?
That's correct,
And
yeah.
what if they got to come back and forth?
Well, you're going to get raped by some spirits at your day job. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I agree with Matt. If we're gonna waste the space,
Yeah.
like again, I think everybody should just be cremated. But
Let's put golf courses underground too, actually.
You're going to have a lot of stingers.
Simon, all of a sudden,
well, that's not quite the same thing.
I get it. I know.
Some burial at sea would be good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Throw
Yeah.
everything in the water.
Well, that's what we do anyway. Why not throw the rest of our garbage in there?
It's like when you get your dog cremated
Yeah. Oh.
at the pet place there, they give you like an option. You can either have the ashes back or they take care of the ashes. I'm like, well, what do you guys do with the ashes? Oh, we just throw them in the river. I was like, okay, well, I'll take my ashes back,
Throw
but
them in
what
the
river
river?
are you throwing all these dog ashes into? Yeah, that's what they do. They get thrown
Don't
in the
swim
river.
in public. Don't swim anywhere.
That thing gets recycled into your drinking water.
Cool.
We did ashes for one of our friends, and it really is that, like, depending where the wind's blowing, it just doesn't. It's not as magical as this cloud of like it blows back in someone's
Yeah.
face.
It's
and-
that scene in
Lebowski.
Yes, exactly.
and the hunger
I know it's definitely in Lebowski.
yeah, definitely in Lebowski, but isn't it also in The Hangover? Isn't he?
No,
No, it's not The Hangover. It's
No one died in the hangover.
no, it's the other one with him and Due Date,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
which is a hilarious movie that gets no
Galifianakis
respect.
and
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
When Robert Downey Jr. spits in that dog's face, I fucking lose it, man. He's so mad at Galifianakis and he's yelling at him, and then he turns and he spits in the dog's face, the little Frenchie, and walks away. Oh, dude. Anyways, yeah, really good movie. You should check that out.
So
We should do that as the movie. Yeah.
Homo no lady.
Homo no lady 300,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he was referring to a
That feels like a great burn. Look at this homo no lady.
No, every time I say something gay, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
homo no
homo
lady.
no lady.
I watched that movie, by the way.
Which one?
homo no lady.
Homo no lady. The cave,
documentary.
Cave of
So there's a cave where there's a
Whatever.
7-inch slot where they think someone went down there
Yeah, fuck
to
that.
bury bodies.
well, they know for a fact that people went down there to bury bodies.
let me pump the brakes on
Okay,
that.
pump away.
Is it possible that someone was taking bodies down there and eating them, like some horrible thing?
Yeah, they were still getting down there with the bodies though. And when you see this cave system, dude, it is like it's my nightmare. It is so fucking
All caves, I hate it.
One part they have to go through on their stomachs.
Hate
okay.
it. Hate
and
it.
then the very last part that they call the chute, that's
Hate
where they were going down with the bodies. And at first they thought they were just throwing the bodies down the chute, but then they found the holes where they actually dug. So they know they were burying them. But that chute is something like 18 centimeters. It's so fucked up, dude.
Nope.
Yeah, no
Is
right.
it possible it was something and then land changed?
I don't think so.
Why?
Joe's
hold
big
on.
concern was going in there, the earth shifting, and all of a sudden getting crushed.
Well,
Which
that
obviously would be
probably
a concern.
could happen, but it hasn't in millions of years. But when they're showing the movie, they're like, well, the entrance of the cave used to be over here, but it's collapsed, and so there has been some.
Change in the geography.
What were we talking? What were we saying right before that though?
Shafts.
Oh yeah, did you ever see that documentary about the kids who got stuck in the
Thai,
Philippine caves or the Thailand caves?
I didn't watch the documentary. No.
When you see what they have to do in that one, because those kids are,
Yeah,
it's
I
such
know.
a
You
fucked
gotta-
up
it's a
thing.
wild-
They had to put them all unconscious so they could then put the oxygen on them, and their bodies had to be bendy enough so they could lead them through these twists and turns. that documentary is so fucking anxiety filled to watch.
Is there only one?
I think it's only one. It's like a 2 hour. It's
a proper documentary.
Yeah.
That helps. So back to Homo Lady in the cave. He was saying the significance of it
Fuck
is
this guy.
I believe that the doctor that made that movie had found a tooth in a pinky bone in 2 years, and all of a sudden they find over 2,000 bones.
The doctor, no lady.
The doctor who was working on Homo No Lady in 2 years found a pinky bone
Until he
and a
got to
tooth,
this cave.
and then I don't know if the same people. But he was just saying for a frame of reference. Usually that's what you
Yes,
find in
yeah.
a site,
Yeah.
small thing. This was, and that's why I said this.
Well,
was
and they were finding full bodies. What's crazy in this one is they don't find like full bodies. They find, partial sets of remains. But then they want to build out what Homo no lady looks like. So they take so they get every single bone because they're taking it from different things, and they lay it all out on the table and show you what it will look like.
and it was smaller.
It was smaller. Yeah. But it is really, I know we talk about this all the time, but I think we don't, like, not we, but everybody just doesn't like actually think about all these different species living together at the same time in proximity of each other that
That are very humanoid.
Yeah, they were all humanoid, but they were intermingling. And like, it turns out that Denisovans, from Denisova Cave there, they were like way more advanced than human Homo sapien or whatever was at the time. Like we thought they were these brutes, but they had much more complex death rituals. And
How do we know this?
Because of the caves, Kamar.
They find examples of it.
But they don't find any language or anything like that.
Well, I don't know if they have written words from these.
See,
Homo no
one of my
ladies.
problems, Simon, is you're big on like, when you need it, you're big on evidence. But for the rest of the stuff that you really enjoy, you're cool with them because a lot of this they are just guessing.
Okay, sure, yeah, fine.
Like you would agree if you saw all the evidence laid out, you would go, I get it. They're piecing together because that's all you can do, right? Until you have
all you
enough.
can do.
I get it, but that's all I'm saying is like
so, what are you questioning that I'm saying?
nothing. What I'm questioning is like there's constantly times where throughout history we've been like, this is where it started and this is where it started and it just keeps going back
Oh,
and
no,
back.
I would assume that nothing is set in stone. No
course.
pun intended.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
pun intended, Matt. Because, look, fucking 10 years ago, we didn't even know about 10 of these different species. I think that as time goes on, if they keep investigating this stuff, the sky's the limit.
I agree.
And again, we may be finding remains of not a chronological, like we assume that it started there with Homo whatever and ends with us, but they could have been wiped out. There might have been this whole thing happening twice before that we never find record of because it's buried way too far, or there's been too many movements of the earth and it's just buried forever into like hollow earth or whatever, not really hollow earth, but just like way, way down.
Yeah.
But
I mean, listen, the answers could be in ice where we'll never get them. Like, let's say the poles shifted. We know that they.
Yeah. No,
you know
no,
what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
like, there could be fucking all the civilizations we ever need to know about could be buried under
Well,
5 kilometers of ice.
Antarctica.
Sure, yeah.
Well, there was a really interesting Coulthard, who is a UFO guy. He did the Phenomenon documentary. He's been on Rogan before. Anyways, he did an interview the other day and he was saying, I think I might have told you guys this. I don't know. Anyways, he was saying that there's a giant, huge, mile long, whatever UFO that's not in America. It's somewhere else in the world. It has a building built around it. Like they built a building to hide this thing. And
Okay.
whatever building it is I think he used the word laudable, which I'm not like, it's a weird definition, but I think the idea he was trying to say is that it's something that we all need or use, or I don't know. Like the building, they can't tell you about it because he knows it, but he won't tell because there would be a rush of people going to
Inspect it.
do whatever, who knows. And then I started thinking like, what is that building, and Interesting.
What is that
No
building?
clue.
I don't know why I brought that up. Sorry.
He talked about something in mangroves. Have you ever seen mangroves?
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
They're very interesting that they're like trees, but their roots are sort of like in the water.
Yeah. Well, we've looked at that ancient site. I think it's called.
Fun fact: mangroves are incredible for.
Fish,
No. What's it? Well, that too. Like great ecosystem. What's it called when erosion?
they hold stuff in place.
Well, like waves, like crashing waves will erode land, right? So if there's mangroves in front of it,
It
there's
creates
almost-
a natural reef
a barrier. Yeah,
We've looked at this before, Nan Madal, but
man, my balls.
no, Nan Madal, but
Homo no lady?
it's covered in mangroves. They've grown right into like the structures of the building.
Those mangroves are on land.
I think they come from the water.
These
and grow.
mangroves, I saw, it was just it looked like a forest, and then when you went down, it was like it was all water.
They all grow to land, just land underwater.
Do you think they just grow out of the water? Like it comes from the roots?
It
just
almost looks
float?
like their roots are fingers.
Yeah,
and
it's
I think
crazy.
they have a little connection. Just to speak to all systems, and then Joe went in to talk about how we are all individuals. But if you do pull back, even speaking the daily grind of living our lives, working, paying your mortgage, eating, like we're all part of this huge system, which we fail to recognize sometimes. Because Joe is really pushing AI.
No, Joe is just fully on board that like man has officially given themselves over to the machine world, and it's only a matter of time until.
He's in on the merge.
Yeah,
he's-
I mean he
he's
has a
all
word
in.
for it, so.
Or the inevitability of it, and just the fact that for governance sake, it's the only way out. I mean, again, no one would trust that right now, but
AI for governance? That's what you're saying?
No, I like what they.
free from corruption, free from being bribed.
I don't think that's impossible. What they said, I liked. They were like, you could have AI. You could have AI say, "Listen, these are the 5 best outcomes. You choose one."
Yeah, and then everybody
Right. So
votes
AI.
on those
So
outcomes,
AI would
yeah.
say, "Listen, I've crunched the numbers, and if you guys want to get to here, these are your 5 options that will get you there. Here's the pitfalls of them. Here's the pros, the cons.
Then the people choose
and then
that.
the people vote. Yeah, I mean that system to me is not because then you're not the machine's not just some overlord.
But the machine just has no desire to help one person over another. There's no benefit in it. It doesn't get more electricity to
I
function.
think giving any power over to AI is a mistake.
But it's not. Is it giving power over?
only because the bias is built in. If it was perfectly just
I'm just asking you a question. Is it giving power over?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's incorporating it into human affairs, and it has no business in those affairs.
But we're already there. Like if you think
No,
about.
I agree. I'm not.
We have
I
no
just,
business
I
in our
think
affairs.
that's the problem. You know what? That's wrong though. We have all the business in our affairs, and if government was run on a very small level where within your community you actually had a vote, and in that community you had a representative, and that representative went and whatever up the chain the way it's supposed to be, we would actually get things done that you want done. We wouldn't need AI to do that.
if you knew firsthand how bad our public transportation in the city is, you would lose your mind. If you had to take it, you would be at OZ Transpo picketing.
No, but this is what I'm saying. So you should be able legitimately to go to your community meeting, tell whatever your rep is, and then he goes and raises hell. And if enough of those reps get together and all agree on the same thing, then shit gets done.
Or if AI just went in and figured out what the most efficient way to run the OZ Transpo was, and they just did it. Mic drop.
No, again, you're giving power to this inanimate object. I think it's a mistake.
And Brian didn't want to give power to this inanimate object either because he said there was no creativity.
And that's the other thing with AI. I'm sorry, just one thing. The other thing with AI is like, just let AI do it. You know what I'm saying? That we're going to get to that point where nobody's able to do anything anymore because you've
cop
just
out.
given all.
I mean, we're kind of already there.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
The further we go and the more we give up, soon we just like that's the quickest way to the merge, Matt. We just don't even know what's happening because we're so, like you said, in the middle of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it all depends. Like, listen, if you and I had the conversation where we decided, like, if you and I said definitively we both think we're in a simulation here, then what does it matter anyway? Because, like, we're already living in that world. We just are unaware of it.
Right. But even in a simulation, even though the parameters of the simulation are established,
you still have free will
change
within
can
that.
still be made. You can still change your life.
But but that could still exist in this merge world.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, listen, if you go back historically, it's almost impossible for anyone to accurately depict the future. Like sometimes people get stuff, they're close, but like we can just never see. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't care. Sign me up. Put me in.
So yeah, Brian pushed back because he said no matter what AI can do, it just doesn't have the creativity that is inherently human, it seems. And he pronounced it different. I call it frizz. He called it frisson. I think I call it frizzin. That thing that's in a song or that feeling you get when you hear the audience and sort of the hairs stand up on your...
You have used the word frizzen before?
Thanks, man.
I have a frizzen.
From the grave. But if AI can figure that out... Because, I mean, it is creativity from a human being, but it's sort of like something you can map it mathematically.
I guarantee you that it won't take long for it to get there if it hasn't already. Like, if you think about music, if you really break down music, you'll find out that, like, the same 4 chords are the basis for all music.
This is what I'm saying.
So once you know that, you're like, sound is vibration. I bet AI could create a song that literally every single person in the world could jam to. Which hasn't existed yet, right?
Everyone will like.
Yes,
it'll be like a bring together song.
I mean, keep in
Kumbaya
mind,
shit.
I feel like those songs kind of exist. Like if you Three Little Birds to me is a song where there's nowhere on earth that you couldn't just fire that song up and the majority of people wouldn't be like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like Bob is one of those artists where it just seems like it doesn't matter where on earth you are.
Yeah,
if you
there are
start
a couple
playing
of
Bob,
Sweet Caroline. That's another one.
well, that's kind of a white anthem, but
Even black people jam out to that song.
I think you'd be surprised.
Sweet
Everyday People.
Caroline.
Arrested Development?
No, by Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh, the OG one. Yeah, Everyday People, yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Then Joe was like, "Oh, you want to hear something?" And I thought he was going to put on Suzanne Santos.
Oh, thank God.
But he put on that 21-year-old guy who sings the song Kate McKinnon. He just sounds like an old guy. And I'm pretty sure AI could like take a little Johnny Cash, take a little this. He was like, "There's no way AI could do this." I'm pretty sure AI could have done that.
Not only could it do it, but we wouldn't even know.
I was also going to say to Joe, and I don't know this for a fact, but like that kid singing, we don't know that he wrote that song.
No, he was saying it was more like the sound of his voice. I don't think it was
Just the
like
whole
the
feeling
lyrics.
of it seemed like it was timeless.
Hear me out. All I'm saying is this, Simon, is like there are plenty of young men with like deep baritone, old sounding voices. If you get Johnny Cash to write you a song and you have that voice, you can sound like you're years ahead of your, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Well, all I'm saying is Joe was like, listen to this kid, like it's unheard of. I'm like, I don't know. There's a bunch of people like that.
Our power is to make stuff we like
Yeah.
and constantly innovate.
Yeah.
Or else we should just be able, we have everything we need and we never want or like, oh, let's see that new thing. We for some reason we always want the new shiny thing. Then they got into their GNR in Greece story and they gigged like two little girls. Something went down there. You tell them. No, you tell them. I'm not going to tell them.
I think they had a threesome with Axl Rose.
Something to that effect. I'm not going to cast aspersions.
Homo no lady.
Welcome to the jungle.
There is something to, songs getting you stoked.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I talked about it last week with Olympia VA.
There's certain songs that you could just run a bit faster for 30 more seconds.
Hype
you
up
could
songs.
that fades. halfway through the song, you jump around.
It's
here.
absolutely a thing. And that's why you see like, skiers before they go down their race with their earphones in, like everybody just
something in the zone.
or whoever before whatever they do just has their earphones in getting pumped up. That's like a drug almost.
Yeah.
And then there was a weird story about Joe saving a deer.
I don't know if he said he saved it. He tried to. I think he ended
said
up
he-
shooting
They
it.
said,
they called up
they said they took it to a vet.
the animal
Oh, did they? I missed
hospital.
that part.
I
Okay.
think it's because his kids were there. And
I thought he was quietly trying to avoid being like, so I had to shoot the thing in
No,
the head.
I 100% thought that's where that story
I thought
was
so. I
going.
put my foot on his throat
Yeah.
and I looked away because I didn't want to see it in the eye.
I told Marshall to go inside.
But no, I thought he was going to tell us how much it cost. It was going to be like $10,000 to save this deer.
The whole neighborhood
he
is just
doesn't have
bringing
to
their.
mention that.
The whole neighborhood's now bringing their injured animals to
Yeah.
Joe's backyard in hopes that he'll nurse it back to health.
They're just leaving their kids in his backyard
Yeah.
with broken ankles.
Which is ironic because I talk about killing deers all the time. But from what I understood, it was too young. He would never have killed it if he was hunting it. And so that's why I wanted
well,
to
I think
save
there's
it.
a difference too between going out and hunting a deer and just
I think you can
blasting away
mercy kill-
deer in your backyard.
I think you're allowed to mercy kill a deer, though. I don't live in the States. I'm unsure, but I think if you came across a very injured deer without a hunting license, I think you could.
I do not think that's the. I know here it isn't anyways. Like if you hit a deer on the road and that deer is still alive, I think
You
you
can't
have to
put him in a figure 4 leg lock. And
I think you have to phone the city up and
Interesting.
they'll tell you what to do.
Well, this is the situation, though. If it turns out that Joe shelled out $10,000 for vet bills or whatever, the average individual would be better off shooting it than paying for it. But I mean, he said he called the ministry. Anyways, it was just a funny story. He regaled Brian of the.
I love how he called it the ministry.
They gave money to monkeys and they immediately turned around and paid for sex.
They didn't give monkeys.
Chimpanzees.
No, they gave. I'm saying they didn't give them money. They gave them. I'm pretty sure it was like grapes or something.
It was some form.
It was a form of currency, but it wasn't actual. Like,
say not real?
They didn't just hand them a bunch of ones and then the
No,
monkeys were
because why
fucking.
would the women monkeys want the cash? It's not like they can go out and buy Louis Vuitton bags.
They would have to teach the women monkeys that they could buy lipstick and
First, they got them hooked on cigarettes,
Yeah,
and then they
that's right.
explained that you have to buy cigarettes using $1 bills.
And that's one of those, I'm sure it happened in that one study. I don't know if that's like a repeatable, every time you do that, this is how the monkeys react. You know what I mean? Bunch of monkeys in an enclosure, you give them grapes and right away they pimp out their women. I don't think that's how it works, you know? Anyways, I could be wrong.
But I mean, that's how we work.
First of all, I don't think every troop of chimpanzees is the same.
Okay.
So,
But you're just doing this off feeling.
well, I know for a fact that they're not the same because watch Chimp Empire.
Sure, but to say they're not the same, it doesn't mean that their base instincts aren't the same. They could be a completely different group of people.
You know what? Before you argue about it, look up the study because I don't think it was a repeatable study. I think it was one study that got done.
Why don't you look it up since you're so fucking certain?
I'm over it.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
the chimps trading sex for money.
Correct.
Well, and plus it's very old.
a very old study from like the 70s.
Oh,
Oh, so we don't take into account. I mean, those studies are
It's the
throw them in
same
the
story.
garbage.
But you are so caught up on this study, man. Just let it go.
it's this.
Just let it go.
Then, in a weird way, which makes me think even more, the soulmates. Brian started to try to analyze Joe's dreams. So dreams a lot about wolves,
Yeah.
and he didn't know what that meant. And then he said, "Well, with his 23andMe, he is mostly
You see
Neanderthal."
something flashing over there?
No, I don't. I want to know if,
Seizure.
like, Joe's just so alpha. I just dream of wolves.
And well, his 23andMe released that he's a lot
Like,
of
he's
Neanderthal.
23% wolf. That's what his DNA test said.
You did it and it turned out you were 60% homo no lady.
That'd be hilarious. I was going to do it, but now all the data got hacked. I don't know what that means, though. I guess all my data's out
For
there with
22 and
everything
Me?
else. 23andMe.
That's so funny. My wife bought me 23 and Me like 5 Christmases ago. And I never did it because I didn't want to give the government my saliva.
There you go.
You
And,
knew. You knew.
I just knew I was all homo no lady. What was the point of even looking it up, you know?
Why bother?
Why bother?
Wolves are awesome.
Wolves are awesome.
I think we
They've
have an
always been
agreement.
my favorite animals since I was a little kid.
And
a,
just
li-
that
a
they're-
little pup.
Wolves are awesome.
Yeah.
Just that they're out there, like there isn't much. Well, there is protections now. In some places, like here, I don't think you can shoot a wolf.
Like when I was a kid, I read I read all those dog books by like Jack London, all of those they weren't like wolf books, but like Buck in Call of the Wild like fights a wolf or something. Anyways, but then there was this author that did all dog books. Do you remember those? There was like Big Red. It was about an Irish setter, and there was
Mr. Muggles?
no, they were like
remember
little.
these.
They were novels. I think it was before your time, Maddie. But one of them was called Snow Dog, and it was about this half wolf, half dog. And ever since I read that, just been
Enamored with.
obsessed with
Do you
wolves.
dream about wolves as well?
Yeah.
Do you have lucid dreams?
No, I don't think I've ever dreamt about wolves.
Simon's middle name is Wolf Dream.
No, but Joe makes a really good point. Like, we know that lucid dreaming exists.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. It sounds like the best thing ever, and yet none of us strive to do it.
Joe made the biggest point. Like, I know about this, and I try everything under the sun. I haven't tried it.
This is
and
what I mean.
Bert's been put on many times.
You know what I think it is, Simon? I think it's that most of us look at sleep as like I just want to go to sleep and that's it. I want to wake up fresh. The last thing you want to do is like spend a half hour before you go to bed trying to gear yourself up for like more. You know what I mean? Like
That's the problem. It's the work to get there. But once you know how to do it, like imagine going to bed every night, Matt.
yeah, excited.
And just
Like,
so
oh, I got like an 8-hour
excited
movie ahead of me that I control.
that
Yeah.
I control.
I'm just getting my dick sucked 24/7 in my sleep.
I wonder if in lucid dreaming you lucid nightmare.
Well, no, because if you're in control, why would you?
Well, shit can still go. You're in control of yourself. I don't know if you're in control of the universe of dream, right?
okay,
like you're
sure,
not
yeah,
like a
yeah,
god who makes bridges and stuff. I've never heard anybody describe it like that. Anyways, I've always heard of people say like, I can decide to go into this room, or I can decide to fly.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Well, I mean, if you can fly.
But when you have
fly away from
when
danger.
you have a nightmare, it's more of there's something you just can't do. No matter how many try it.
Sometimes that's a part of your nightmare. That's not what all nightmares are.
I guess I'm speaking for myself, but there's never monsters in my nightmares.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My nightmares are just I'm disappointing myself over and over and over again.
Yep. I'm always running from something I can't catch. Or I'm running after something I
you're
can't catch.
never in a scary situation
No,
in your
no,
nightmares.
no, never.
I
Like what
just
kind of scary
don't
situation?
believe that.
I'm just curious.
Like I have tons of nightmares where I'm like running from like killers at a party or something,
Pussy.
or I have like my family with me and I have to get them out of a
yes.
building, or
And you can't get them out.
No, that is always part of the dream. I'm not saying it like I cannot fight in my dreams. If I go to throw
Yeah,
a
same-
punch
yeah,
in
I
my
think a
dream,
lot of people feel that.
I am
Yeah, you hit
stuck
like a
in
pillow.
mud. I can't.
And that's you doing that.
It's so right. I would love to be able to like ninja out and just beat the shit out of everyone for once.
I
and
agree.
like, I don't think I ever remember having sex in my dreams. I always like wake up before it happens, or I can't remember the good part of it. I always just remember up to.
That would be a nightmare that I'm about to have sex and I have to just go do one little thing and then come back and do the sex. But then that one little thing leads you, and then all of a sudden
no longer the
I
sex
can't
is
get
gone.
back to it. And I forgot the person. They're mad at me anyways.
You know when you're having just the best dream ever and
Yeah.
you wake up and you just want to get back into that dream so bad and it's impossible.
I don't find it impossible.
Close
I
your
find,
eyes extra tight to get back to that.
I find
place.
sometimes if I fall asleep right back away, I'm like right into it.
Really?
again. Yeah.
I am not. I will go into another dream.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I can't get back to that dream. And maybe that's another lucid dreaming type of thing. You can like condition yourself to be able to get back to that dream.
In this episode, I think Joe said very diplomatically that Bigfoot did exist. And it's probably extinct.
Oh, here we go.
No, no,
Buckle
no.
the fuck
Now,
up.
there was many listeners shared with the sighting in Colorado, which I'm sure you've seen.
I saw it. I don't think it's real. Thank God I'm back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if I had to all due respect this
Yeah, it'd
for
be pretty- it'd
Joe,
be pretty
I
fucking
don't
ugly.
even know what I would do with myself.
Yeah,
But
I don't know either.
You know what I'm not going to do this week, guys? I'm
on.
not just going to yell at Joe for how stupid he is. But what I
Okay.
am going to do is for a guy who claims to be like super open-minded and does his research on things.
He's
What a-
saying it existed.
No, but then when he talks about the Patterson-Gimlin film, and they went into it big time this week, so I feel justified in talking about it. Like I
The
said,
receipt for the suit.
I just wish. I know Joe says he has no time, but I wish he would take 6 hours and listen to this 5-part
Of the
documentary
Patterson-Gimlin
about the
footage.
and after it's done, I guarantee you, Joe is an open-minded individual. He will change his tune 100% because everything that he said was wrong about it, he was wrong about. He has misinformation that is
His truth now.
tainting his view. When he says things like Roger Patterson was this known shyster and whatever, again, so was Bob Lazar. It doesn't change Joe's view on Bob Lazar.
Okay. But I guess my question to you is like, you also just believe some guy with a podcast.
What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is this, is like you just said, I really wish Joe would listen to this 5-hour, which might be the most heinous thing I've ever heard. I really wish Joe would listen to this 5-hour podcast. And what I'm telling you, just hear me out, is I could tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, I'd have to do a little more research, but I could put together I could put together a podcast, release it, and you might listen to it.
And then if I thought the things you were saying were true, I would double check them on my own. If they were proven right, I would then tout the authenticity of your podcast.
Yeah, the problem with what you're saying, though, is that anytime I ask you to prove something, you pull up your phone, you look at it for a second, and instead of putting in the 6-digit passcode to open it, you put it back down.
Oh, it's all made up.
The things that they say in this podcast
Yeah.
are, you can check them. They give you, there's a bibliography at the end of it.
Okay.
It's all there. The info's all there for
Okay.
Joe to find. He just chooses not to. What Joe has done is, remember crop circles?
Yep.
Remember, I don't know if you know this, but there have been crop circles showing up for 60, 100 years, all over Great Britain, all over the world, frankly. Those two guys say they did it in Britain, and all of a sudden, every single crop circle is a hoax. That was just that we all bought into that weird. That's the same thing with this. Like, Joe hears one fucking thing about Bob Hieronymus saying that he had, and then it's so funny, that picture of Bob Hieronymus. He's the guy who they say was in the Bigfoot costume, the Patterson. But there's this picture out. I got to show it to you. You know what? It doesn't even matter. There's a no, because I know, Matt, you're just.
I've made my case without explaining it. I don't have to go.
He is such a disbeliever that no matter what I show him, he's going to poo-poo. Just know he's sitting there with a costume that looks nothing like the Patterson-Gimlin. Whether you think that is fake or not, these two costumes look nothing the same. Zero the same. And Joe, in this episode, says, he's looking right at it. He's like, well, they look identical. They don't look identical. They don't even look close to identical.
So Bigfoot must be real.
No.
The discrediting of the Bigfoot is not valid.
Joe has been duped, and he is now duping other people. And I wish, just like everything else in his life, where he's very careful not to like lead people down wrong paths, he would do the same for Bigfoot. But because he did that one episode of Joe Ruins Everything with Duncan about the Bigfoot guys, he now thinks he's an expert, and he's been totally led astray. That's it.
Gigantopithecus cannot be
Gigantic.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Gigantopithecus, just here's something else that's interesting, and Joe never talks about this either. There are so many from Gigantopithecus,
Tithecus.
there are many other prime candidates for Bigfoot. Paranthropus,
Not homo, no lady. Too small.
no homo, no lady. but many that are even a better representation than, what was it called? Gigantopithecus. I'm just saying, like, Joe doesn't, he just has so, I just wish he would say nothing about it instead of, if he just said, you know what, I don't believe in it. But the way he tries to like scientifically dismantle it.
Well,
yeah,
I think he has to create a case so he doesn't have to waste any bandwidth on it. Otherwise, he'd just be obsessed. And maybe that's to your detriment.
If Joe,
Simon, can I just jump in real quick? If like you are a believer who wants to believe, okay? And I believe that Joe at one point was the same as you. Now, I don't mean this disrespectfully. Joe has far more resources than you. All I'm saying is you've listened to podcasts, you've done your internet research. Joe has gone a step further and gone out to places and talked with people. And hear me out. All I'm saying is that Joe, through all of his resources and his readings and all of his conspiracy stuff, he has now gotten to the point where he's like, there just is across the board not enough evidence for me to believe. And you can't accept that.
no, because again, Joe does this TV show where he goes out and spends one day in the woods.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Maybe they spend 3 days in the woods. They definitely don't sleep out there. With people who were like not at all the best representations of like the scientific Bigfoot community. He went out of his way to pick like yahoos.
How do you know he went out of his way to pick yahoos?
Because
Producers went out of the way to pick yahoos.
sure, whoever put it together for him. You're giving him way too much credit here, Matt. I don't even think you've seen that, have you?
How much effort he's put into look into
have
it?
you?
Hold on. What I'm saying is very...
Have you? Just answer the question.
No, but it doesn't matter because my point remains... No, you guys are the
Mic
fucking
drop.
worst. You guys are absolutely the worst people to discuss anything with.
No, I just...
Simon, what I'm saying is very simple. You can sit there and go, Joe, with all of his bullshit, didn't do enough research. He's done, I'm very sorry, more than you.
he has not.
He has. He's
No.
willing to get on a plane and go places.
Okay, again, he did it all for money. And secondly, he went like they didn't do anything. Watch the episode, then come back to me.
Okay, again, let me ask you the question. Here's a good follow-up. What would you have Joe do?
Well, at least do some research on the Patterson-Gimlin film before you
hold
start
on.
talking about it.
You said...
At a bare minimum.
But I'll just go back. You said, I don't even think he spent the night out there. What's that going to do?
Well, I think you would see more stuff at night than you would during the day.
Okay. So you're...
Just at a bare minimum.
I'm just curious. There's been how many people like you that want to know about Bigfoot that have gone and spent how many nights in the fucking forest? And then Joe goes out and he doesn't spend enough time, in your opinion.
No, Joe did nothing. This whole thing, it wasn't a real investigative show that he was doing. It was like completely set up. It wasn't.
It was reality TV.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was and to use that as his.
But Simon, here's my problem: is anyone could go out. Like, let's say tomorrow, a researcher spent $10 million, a serious scientist, okay, went out, documented everything, and came back and said, I will now hypothesize that, in my opinion, definitively, Bigfoot does not exist on Earth today. You would still discredit that person. You would say he hasn't done enough. He hasn't looked into enough because you want to believe so bad. So your judgment is clouded. I'm at least using...
No, not at all. I don't care whether Joe believes or not. If he wants to think it's not real, fine. But at least do it for the right reasons. Don't sit there and say, I don't believe in aliens because...
But wait, if he's saying, I don't believe in Bigfoot because I don't feel there's enough evidence, that's not good enough for you.
But he hasn't even looked for the evidence. He hasn't gone out. He's looked at 3 different pieces of evidence and said, that's no good. I'm done.
So what if I listen to your 5-hour podcast and I come back here and I say I still don't believe?
I'll be much more interested in your opinion if you listen to that podcast, for sure. If you do that, Matt...
But do you not see the problem here?
Then I respect your opinion.
Do you not see the problem here is like, I've pointed this out before. We have a podcast. We are idiots. Okay. So there's nothing saying that the guys who did this 5-hour podcast, like just as an example, they could be pulling from multiple different sources who all could be lying or full of shit or uninformed. And they're just using that and regurgitating it to you.
Okay. Again, you know what, Matt? Listen to it.
Sure.
listen to it, because when you're done, you will see that is not the case. These guys are super diligent, super scientific. Just listen to it.
How many Bigfoot doesn't exist podcasts do you listen to?
Bigfoot doesn't exist podcast?
Like how do you often steel man the Bigfoot doesn't exist?
My
side of it?
favorite Bigfoot podcast is one where they most of the time point out that everything's fake. But the times that they do agree that it's real, it's much more impactful. But no, listen, we're done now. We'll move on to something else. But both of you should listen to that podcast. It'll change your opinion on all of this. Because when you listen to it and you, at the end of these 5 episodes, agree that the Patterson-Gimlin film is real, then we have video footage of Bigfoot. We don't have to talk about this anymore. Because we'll all just be in agreement that it is real and there is one on video. And I believe wholeheartedly, not because I'm a Bigfoot fan, I believe that if you listen to all 6 of those episodes, at the end of it, it's like 7 hours, 8 hours.
It's 8 hours now?
You will believe that is true. Maybe not that all Bigfoot exists, but that Bigfoot on that video is a real life creature.
You must believe I will never do that. Like you said, moving on.
Pathetic.
We can't trust anything Brian says after he has his first cup of coffee.
I'm sorry, just one more thing. For anybody who's interested in listening to that podcast out there, it is, I'm just going to tell you the name of it really quick.
It's called Bigfoot's Real, and you better fucking buy into it.
No, like I said, if anybody listens to the whole thing and at the end has a different opinion than me, I am more than happy to hear it. I'd actually love to hear it. The show is called Astonishing Legends. Okay. And just look up the 5-part or 6-part,
6 parts.
Gimlin Patterson one. Thank you.
So as we said, he took coffee for the first time in a year, did not really lose his faculties like the one guy said. After 3 months of no coffee, he started hallucinating.
And
that was Michael Pollan.
Is he ever, this guy is such a Joe sycophant, eh? Like,
Wow, they've been
doesn't
inside
drink
each other.
coffee in 6 years and then sees him drinking and it's just like, give it to me.
Whatever you
if
want,
Joe had
Daddy.
snorted Coke on that, they would have both been snorting Coke.
That happened after the episode.
There is an obsession with why we stood up, correct?
I don't think there's an obsession.
I think it kind of changed everything.
There was a competitive advantage to being down low on all fours.
No, he said the competitive advantage came from standing up.
We got to use our hands, baby.
But we don't know why.
Well, I think they have some ideas.
It's just evolutionary.
Well, he said from an evolutionary standpoint, if you think about it, you could see predators coming from further away because you're upright.
Yeah, and I think
In
just
tall grass, you
being
can-
able to use your hands is not having to walk on
It also
all
made us
fours.
faster. We could run then. You can't run on
I
all.
wonder what was more important, the opposable thumbs or the standing up, the bipedalism to make humans, what we are today.
Well, standing
Or
up
is
would
it
have
the
slowed us
combination?
down.
It slows us down, but it makes us better long distance runners. You can run long distance better on 2 legs than you can on 4, I believe.
Less energy using all 4.
I just think as an endurance runner, which humans became because prey can outrun us most of the time. They're very fast. They can get away from us. But if we can endurance run them, right? Like if we can chase them for miles and miles, they get faster get more tired before
because they
we
don't
do.
sweat. That's
Now-
what Joe said.
Brian's whole thing.
We do sweat.
We do. They don't.
Oh, they
That's
don't,
why we
so-
can last longer.
Interesting.
Brian's whole thing is finding vases, vessels that held inebriates with ergot, possibly alcohol, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But he still, at this point, has never tried psychedelics. And he thinks that helps his case. Do you think that is sort of like, at this point, you should?
I think it definitely helps his case right now for sure.
He
If you're
has
trying to
less bias
sell the
'cause he's
book,
never tripped
well,
out?
just all the like hoity-toity science people out there can't say, "Oh, well, this guy's just a tripper writing a trippy book."
Yeah, he's just trying to show everyone
a
that
real
yeah.
scientist. But knowing what he knows, you would think like he's out there talking about like the elusive mysteries or whatever the fuck they're called, about like the secrets of the world coming to you through these things, and he still hasn't done it. I mean, you got your first book out there. I think you can trip a little bit now, you know?
Unless
I think
it was Daniel Coney on us.
The disservice he's doing is that like you know, it's tough for you to be like, this is how we, oh my God, they blocked it. Jesus Christ. This is how, it's tough to be like, this is how we came to be. Like Simon said, if you haven't felt it yourself.
I mean, again, it doesn't he's trying to write history, and it doesn't change it whether he's high or not.
It does a little bit. What I'm saying is this. If someone was like, I found pot in this ancient, like I found marijuana, remnants of marijuana in this ancient ruins. If you were sitting there arguing like, I think it changed their society for this, this, and this, but you hadn't tried pot. Like if you sat down and smoked a joint, and you were like, oh, maybe this didn't really change their society. It was just something they enjoyed. Right? Like if you...
He is taking somebody else's word for the fact that like psilocybin is good for you and not bad for you.
Sure.
But I think there's enough science out there now saying that anyways, that he probably doesn't have to. I think he should too, Matt. I just don't think it takes anything away from the books he's writing.
I agree. I also don't think we can say though definitively like we don't know that psilocybin hasn't changed
Over the years.
Well, what he's talking about potentially thousands of years, right?
And the mixing of different things together. I don't know if it was only psilocybin.
Of course, but let's just use psilocybin as an example. Like, we don't know that 1,000 years ago it wasn't more or less potent.
Okay.
What I'm saying is like, you know, we might do psilocybin now and go, oh man, I'm really, you know, I feel whatever. Whereas 1,000 years ago, you might have done psilocybin and it was like a real fucking trip, like a mescaline trip type thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the psilocybin too. Like, look at when you do that penis envy, no homo, no lady.
Yeah, you're gonna call an ambulance.
It's like it puts you to the moon. You do 1 gram, you know, and you do a 1 gram of a normal mushroom, and you're gonna be just fine, you know.
Yeah, but I also like it's yeah.
What I found was very human about it is we do know through other teachings that you can achieve these states without chemicals, just through meditation.
I know, but like Terrence McKenna said, why fucking bother?
Because you have so much
the fairy
when you
costs a
can
nickel.
just take it, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, it's so human. Where's the shortcut? Whatever. But I mean,
it's not a shortcut.
His point is this: is if you have to learn to meditate for 10 years to get to a place of spirituality versus eating a gram of mushrooms to get to the same place, it's what he's saying is the juice ain't really worth the squeeze to take that 10 years to learn it.
Well, my point is, 2,000 years ago, you really had nothing else to do.
I think we're forgetting too. This is something that always escapes me. Like, if you think about the Bible makes a lot more sense when you think, oh, everyone was so hungry and drunk all the time or high. Like, if you woke up first thing in the morning and you hadn't eaten the day before, or you'd had very little food, and you start with like 3 glasses of wine, and then you pop some mushrooms, you're gonna be fucking wild. You're a wild cat. Like right now, when you do mushrooms, you do it on a full fucking stomach for the most part, right?
Bad idea.
What, eating them on a full
Stomach mushrooms? Yeah, it's not a good idea.
My point remains though, is if you like, we're well fed now, by and large. If you're in the developed world, you know.
I'm waiting for you to finish your point.
No, my point was just that is like everything makes a little more. All the crazy shit they talk about seeing back in the like thousands of
just
years,
whatever.
Malnutrition, drugs, and alcohol on top of each other makes a lot more sense when you start thinking about like the burning bush or any number of fucking supernatural type things that people thought. It's a lot easier to be like, oh, they were on an empty stomach and high as fuck on mushrooms. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, the burning bush, they was supposed to be smoking acacia or whatever, right? That's the...
Yeah, I just...
According to these writings.
Like I said, I just go back to it that, like, if you wake up on an empty stomach and you get fucking a little bit tipsy, your day is going to be different than if you woke up, ate, and just enjoyed the rest of your day.
Now, he said in one example of these people, they would prepare for 18 months. And the actual experience would be 9 days.
Well, that's the part then that of like the meditation that maybe makes sense. Maybe you have to, maybe part of like doing the trip properly is grinding for the first part to get to the end part.
The payoff.
Yeah. And if it's too easy, you don't get what you're really looking for.
I just want to know, like, is he filling in a lot of gaps? Because my question is like, he's like, oh, well, it was 18 months of preparing for this 9-day thing. Like, That's pretty exact. Like, did you read that in a book?
Well,
Is there something?
Again, all
they
the
read that in some
all the source
manuscript
information
somewhere.
is written, and we know how that cannot always be exactly what is written is what happened.
And I'm not giving. Keep in mind,
totally.
I'm not giving him shit. I'm just saying, you're working with what you're working with. But I think a lot of the times these guys have to kind of fill in some blanks here and there.
For sure. Like when you look at Plato,
Yeah.
like they take a lot of take Atlantis. Plato mentions Atlantis in one of his scrolls. They then take that as possibly a legitimate thing. Plato hears that he didn't see Atlantis. He heard from like Herodotus, who heard from some other guy.
Yeah.
By the time he wrote it down, you are like 12 people away from
it's total hearsay.
the source. The Bible, you're 100,000 people away from the source, possibly. Like when they wrote the Bible, we don't know how long the things that actually happened in the Bible happened, right? Like
We also don't know for sure. Someone could have written the Bible. It might have not caught on as well as they wanted. And then they're like, well, I can
spice.
I can make the story a little better. Yeah.
The first
possibly.
focus groups weren't feeling it.
That's what I'm saying.
Or other side of the stone, they're just writing down what they saw.
No, of course that's possible.
With very limited means, not the people who wrote the Bible, because at that point language had come a certain, but the people who are telling the stories in the first place, maybe they just didn't have a lot of the words to describe the things they were seeing, right? Like if you've, just an example, I know we talk about this all the time, but if you've never seen a UFO before, or if you've never seen an airplane before, if you've never seen any sort of electronic anything before, when you see those things for the first time, you have to go into your brain and try and find a word to describe it.
Yeah.
You're going to pick the thing that seems the most like the thing you're looking at because you don't have words to say what an airplane is. You are going to write steel bird or shiny bird, whatever.
I get it. Yeah.
I mean, that must happen all the time throughout all of history, ancient history written that we are now,
I mean, that one's a little more.
This is how it is.
That one's a little more weird because it's like you're talking about someone seeing something so far advanced that they can't describe it. I just don't, how often did that happen in the year one?
I mean, according to the Bible, it happened a lot. So it depends on what you believe.
But I'm just
right?
saying, too, if everyone's high out of their mind,
again,
that changes the game completely.
Sure. You could still be high out of your mind looking at a UFO, not have the words to describe it. Instead of saying it looks like a coin
I'm saying,
or
though,
something
Simon,
that you have, you're high as shit, and you say it looks like a giant flying bird.
Okay, what I'm saying is outside of UFOs, it's very difficult.
What do you mean?
What I mean is you for the most part lived in fucking straw caves, a straw hut, a cave, whatever. There wasn't a lot of things that you hadn't seen, a tree, a rock, a spear. My point is it has to be something so far advanced. That's why I said UFOs are...
Not even though, Maddie, like ships, for example, the first time they saw a ship.
That's a little bit... But just hear me out.
An animal you've never seen before.
Sure. I'm okay with that. The ship, though, it's still made of stuff that you
have no idea what it is. It might as well be a UFO.
But just hear me out. It's made of wood, right? Like a ship back then, 100% was made of something that they had seen around. So like you might not have I get what you're saying. You might not be able to say that's a boat or a ship or whatever, but you'd say like there's the tree is floating.
It's not made of metal, and you've never seen metal before.
That's my point.
Sure.
Yeah. So
But
that's why I said with UFOs, it makes total sense because you have absolutely zero basis for flying, metal, any of that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we're getting lost.
And for angels too, because anything that you saw flying that wasn't supposed to fly, how do you explain that if you're like
I mean,
normal
angels
person?
flying is something that we've done. You don't know that angels could have just been people walking around.
Absolutely. They could call gods people who just had more knowledge than them. At the same time, like in Ezekiel's book there, when he describes the angel as a wheel within a wheel, this flying thing with 100 eyes, that sounds like a UFO.
Yeah.
Drugs are not for everyone, but exercise and supplements are.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
No, drugs are for everyone. If exercise is for everyone, drugs
Well,
are for
I was just starting with how Joe says, not everyone should smoke weed, not everyone should do this, but everyone should exercise and everyone should.
No, but that's true. Everybody should probably exercise.
Yeah, it's the one interesting common. Like not everyone should drink. Blah blah blah.
I'm actually going to go back though. See, I actually think everyone should do drugs. You're going to find your drug. I'm not saying heroin or coke, but I'm saying out of like mushrooms, weed, alcohol, you're going to find one that gets you to a spot that you should go to every once in a while.
Well, that leads to my next point. They talked about Datura, which I was telling you guys I did when I was in Australia.
What, Dictura?
Datura, angel's trumpet.
I've never
It's
heard.
like a white
Homo
flower.
lady.
Yeah.
That's the most I've ever tripped out in my life, but like it wasn't good.
What did it
It was
feel
so
like?
out of control.
It's so interesting to me that scopolamine is the devil's drug,
Scopolamine.
but they also use it for anti-nausea and like
In tiny, tiny doses.
I know it's just odd that like there's a patch that you can buy that's like, oh, I won't get seasick. But that same drug off a plant in like powder form, you can ruin a room full of people's
Well,
lives.
I mean,
like,
it's like fentanyl, right?
yeah.
In any event, I mean, there are so many things that they mentioned.
No,
some
but tell
kind
me
of
what
black
that
drink.
drug was like.
Well, from what I understand, afterwards you're supposed to like boil a bunch of petals, and then fill up a shot glass, and then just take sips around a circle. Instead, we all had mugs, and within a half hour, the police were there. One guy was in the hospital. You just lose complete
Why
control.
were the police there?
Because the guy had left the house we were at, went home, and threw all his possessions in a garbage can, and was smashing his head against the wall. Like,
Yep, that'll do it.
It really got out of control really fast.
Okay. Well, you guys totally misdosed that.
I could not read. I could not read for like 2 days,
Jesus Christ.
and the police had me chasing a mouse that wasn't there in a bedroom. They didn't know what else to do. We were so fucked up.
What do you mean they had you chasing a mouse that wasn't there? They said
They
just
were-
chase that mouse
Yeah, and I was
just
just
to keep
and I
you
was just
busy?
running around. Yeah,
I would love to see that, dude. I bet those Aussies were like,
they were having a laugh.
look at this fucking guy just chasing around a fucking mouse and he's not even there.
It sounds like one step away from like bath salts, eh?
Yeah,
Like
no,
they
no,
were just right there at like eating
in
each
that
other's
realm.
faces.
But I swear to you, it was from the porch we saw these flowers just on the side of a road,
That's like scopolamine, same thing.
and just how many things are out there that
That'll
are
fuck
just
you up.
growing,
What- yeah.
fuck you up, inspire you, help you, ibogaine. It's a really wild world, and it's really wild that even at this point we don't know. And there could still be undiscovered stuff.
Oh, no, I believe that for everything that ails us, there is a cure in plant form. We just haven't found it, synthesized it. Like cancer, the cure for cancer is 100% on this earth
They've probably found it,
and just not synthesized it properly or whatever.
and
yet.
it's a homeopathic thing that a tribe does somewhere. No, I'm being
Maybe, yeah,
serious.
yeah.
And they've just never bothered to do it here. And it's sitting out there waiting for
And
us.
I'm sure a lot of our pharmaceuticals are from something natural that they synthesize.
100%. I think
All
most
of the
them are.
pharmaceuticals
Yeah.
are.
Right? Like they are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just guys in the jungle fucking grabbing plants.
Well, I told you about that thing my dad was part of, that route they found. And then it was like a race between all these people to try and patent it.
He then brought up the story of Circe. Now, he got all this information by the Vatican. So I'm sure they just let him run hog wild in the library and take whatever information he wanted. He said with a sarcastic tone.
I think once you can get into that library, you're gold.
I did love how
I'm sure there's a library within the library.
I did love how he was like, so I spoke to the Vatican and they have said that they've allowed me to present this to you on your show today. And Joe goes, oh, that's great. I should take back all the terrible shit I've been
Forgive the
talking
kid rape.
about them.
Forgive the kid rape. I'm gonna
You know what's
bygones.
You want to know what's hilarious is so the Vatican has this library. It's like so extensive. They have all these things. It's so obviously the Library of Alexandria. Like they just looted that place,
Yeah, I can't talk about it.
wrote a story about it burning to the ground. When they burnt it to the ground, they took everything back to their place. They now let people come in to like look at it every once in a while, and nobody says shit. Like,
Well, it's because you're allowed to look at it.
but back to like that whole Egypt trying to get their
Shit
artifacts
back, yeah.
back. Like Vatican just
They don't cur.
called it their own library and went on with their business.
We neglected to
library?
mention it last week
What library? Exactly.
with Jimmy Carr, but he said he didn't think the Roman Empire crumbled. They just consolidated in the Vatican Church.
Yeah, I mean that's what Sam Tripoli says all the time.
Interesting. When
gotta be
which
true.
came first. But the Circe was like an expert on botanicals, alchemy, and that's just sort of what we're missing with this stuff.
The women who know how to do it.
Well, I don't care about the gender, but just individuals that know what stuff is or trusted sources. And I guess these are the shaman here and there, and that knowledge somehow was broken up by the Catholic Church or whatever powers that be, that it hasn't come to fruition that you would trust someone to say, yeah, take these 2 roots and
Well,
this
I think
piece of bark.
too, like back in the day, to be like the medicine man was a huge honor. So you would have all these people
and a responsibility
who wanted to do that, and now you have nobody who has any interest in it. So even the people who have that knowledge now, who are they even going to pass it on to? It's just going to die. Like,
I don't know. I have a feeling those medicine men live in tribes, and that shit will still get passed on.
like
That's kind of the beauty of having like uncontacted tribes, is they kind of keep the old way alive.
because the kids would move out and ruin it.
No, what I'm saying is like those uncontacted tribes, they haven't changed in 100 years, 200 years. They're going to stay the same. So even if AI takes over, like Simon's saying, and we're all useless all of a sudden, there'll be an uncontacted tribe somewhere that's still fucking weaving blankets and still doing, you know what I mean?
Does it all change if you throw a phone in there?
Oh yeah, they're all just jerking off to
6
porn.
months later, they figure it out.
They're all wearing fucking Ray-Bans.
what is interesting though, and it's funny because I used to have a totally different opinion on this, but it just goes to show you, like, not married to any idea. Homeopathic medicine, like, I always just used to think was a total joke, but I am convinced now that any alternative medicine is not being used because modern medicine has deemed it so.
Like oil, going after alternative.
Any sort of like chiropractic, any of that shit, man. Anything that's not recognized by Western medicine.
Is there a difference between holistic and homeopathic?
No, I think they're the same thing. I believe they're the same thing. It's like an alternative form, natural medicine. But I'm telling you, man, like that used back before the Rockefellers got involved. That used to be the medicine.
But I got a question for you.
And then when they came in and started with this whole pharmaceutical industrial
The one
complex,
pushback I'll say is Steve Jobs, because he decided to go that route and he's not here anymore.
Thank you, Kumar. I was just going to ask Simon, if you got cancer tomorrow, would you go
I do them both.
Okay.
I'm just
What
being
if-
honest.
fair enough.
I
That's
think
a good
I will
answer.
try them
Homeopathic
both.
said you can do this, but if you do that chemo, you're going to
Can't
throw
have,
everything off.
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know, where would you get the confidence to say no to the health professional that you assume
I
is
personally wouldn't, but again, that's
individual's choice to
they've
make.
made it that way, so we only trust.
Because it's it's funny because Kamar, I'm glad you brought up Steve Jobs, because my mom sent me this thing that Steve Jobs had said about, she was like, life is so short, and she sent me this fucking thing, and I said, I don't know if you know this, but Steve Jobs had a very curable cancer, and she was like, no, absolutely not, that's not true. And I pulled up the article and yeah, Steve Jobs could have probably been alive today, but he chose to go the other route.
I don't know this for sure, but I think Steve Jobs just said, I'm gonna die. I don't want anything. I don't think he was doing
We don't have the
either
full story.
end of the spectrum of medicine.
No, he started doing homeopathic.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at the end it wasn't working, and he just said, "I'm just going to go."
And again, just throwing this out there, I wonder how much of that story we get that is real, and how much is what
Big pharma.
they want us to think about
Big
what
medicine.
Steve Jobs did.
Fair.
Okay. You have this attitude about this, but when it comes to Bigfoot, you're very staunch in your.
Well, the government's not out there telling you that Bigfoot
Okay.
is real,
Okay.
or not real. I guess. I guess they are telling you it's not real, so it's real.
In
Right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
the event of death, though,
One or the other.
Brian contends that all these ceremonies are always around funerals and death, and that seems like something that's carried on, but now we just drink at wakes. Like it's super common for people to drink at funerals.
As a coping mechanism.
But they used to trip out at funerals
You're also forgetting that drinking in our society is just very normal, period.
But maybe it's like the drinking carried on, but the spiritual trip out part got lost.
No, I just think people, when someone dies, they're trying to
And one
numb
thing
their
is
mind.
illegal and one thing is legal. If all psychedelics were legal, you would see a lot more people doing them at funerals. You just couldn't because you'd be breaking the law. And most people do not want to break the law.
I know, but if I was at a funeral and someone came up and said, "Hey, do you want to?" I'd be like, "What are you doing?" I would just think that's so like you're being callous. But
And is that what he was saying? Was that everyone who went to a funeral did
no,
the mushrooms,
was
or that
saying
as people
imbibing
were dying,
with this stuff was surrounded by death, ceremonies of death. It was just a commonality, if I may use that word.
And I think also that they were used for a lot more than just death ceremonies.
Well, the last half hour was all about death and Dionysus, who is either the god of death or the god of intoxication.
One or the other.
He asked him where he would go, and it's the first time someone has said the crucifixion, which it would be a good one to say, it was true. It was true.
But
They really did
besides
crucify
the
him.
crucifixion, like what else interesting was going on at that point?
I love the idea that, you know what's funny is, let's say you had a time machine. So you have the DeLorean. Now you have to pick a specific date, right? Because that's how the DeLorean worked. You'd say December 4th.
That's a problem.
And,
Well,
where
right, because-
where you take off is where you arrive.
Yeah. So it's always interesting to me because you could get in the time machine and be like, okay, I want to go back to December 25th, 0. I want to see Jesus being born. And you could get there and be like, fuck.
And they're like, you just missed it.
No,
man.
what I'm saying is you could be 20 years off.
Yeah, but then you would just get back in your DeLorean, put in a new date, and go back to where you wanted to go.
My point is we have the farther back you go, the shakier history gets.
I see.
You
You
could
would
end up
never
being
get the
100
right
years
date.
off. Like
Yeah.
the pyramids are a great example, Simon.
Yep.
You could say, I want to go back 50,000 years, and you could get there and they could be there, and you'd be like, okay,
Wait
fuck.
a sec,
Let's
yeah.
go back
Yeah,
75,000. They're still there, and you're like,
that's
holy
fun.
fuck, yeah.
I think I would want to go back
Has to be the pyramids for you. Don't.
Machu Picchu.
There's no way. You're a pyramids guy through and fucking
I
through.
think my favorite one is the those Peruvian megaliths.
That's so weird to me.
The stonework is so much more cool. Like it is cool in Egypt with their giant blocks. Everything is so precise. But in
do you
these
not
South
think-
American ones where they've molded
Yes,
the
I know what
rocks
you're- yeah,
with
yeah.
some sort of heat, that to me is just incredible. And way older too, like than the pyramids.
I was thinking more of the DeLorean, you'd come out of the time and you'd be encased in ice
That could happen
or
too.
just
yeah.
the wrong place.
Well, that's like that whole dinosaur movie there where he goes back in time and he ends up at the dinosaurs and then you're fucked because,
No power outlets.
well, you got nothing, you know? You're a tiny little flea in a real big city, you know?
Then he told the story of the Peruvians who had laced their beer to work deals. Which Joe was a bit offended by, but I think that's a story old as time. Liquor them up and
Yeah.
make the deals. The old honeypot. And then they got to UFOs, which he's obsessed with and has no real opinion. It's all just a mystery. He said that, like, he was like, no, I really, really am into this, but I just don't know.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed about Joe lately is he'll say, he'll ask everyone, so what is your opinion on UFOs? And if they say, oh, I think it's a sham, they have something to talk about. But if they think it's real, conversation
Yeah.
over. Like Joe only wants
Good,
to
we'll
talk
just
about
move
it
in.
if they
Yeah,
have
he
the
just wants
same
to change
opinion as he
someone's
does.
mind. Yeah.
And that's where we're at. I mean, he wrestles back and forth with it and wants to believe, but we will get into it in another episode. The
I did
UFOs.
hear something interesting, though, in one of my information podcasts that David Grush is a government plant. He's the guy who came
Yeah,
out. And
yeah.
he is. But the reason he came out right now is because other shit is happening that they have to be able to control the narrative. So they decided to do it this way so they're going to give you a slow release of what they want you to hear under the guise of you think that it's coming from a whistleblower. But meanwhile,
being fed to
they
you.
had to do that because on the back end, aliens are coming and they need you to get ready for it. They just want to do it on their own time. Anyways, something to think about.
Is that it, Kamar?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, well, he didn't write enough books, or they didn't print enough books, so he's having a great success. So power to him.
All because of Rogan.
But I feel like his book is all suggestion without any like, and so this, like a point that could be shot down. Like he sort of keeps it open ended.
I think the problem in general is the farther you want to go back in history, the less likely you are to have any definitive, hard evidence to whatever you're trying, whatever your hypothesis is.
And his hypothesis, unfortunately, is so counterculture
Yeah, that's a problem.
that
too.
most historians right away want to dismiss it because everybody thinks drugs are terrible, in air quotes. And if that's your contention, then, you know, it can't be right, which is so crazy.
I also find it very interesting that in the world we have like a certain percentage of people that are just going forward in the sense that they're just trying to figure out new stuff, new technology, and then there's this probably the same percentage of the world is just looking back.
Well, it's probably a good thing. You can't
No, you
just
can't
push forward.
Look, you
right?
couldn't go forward without trying to figure out some stuff. I realize that the two are not.
But do you think as we got further along, we've started to look back further? I think,
Of course, yeah.
earlier you were more looking forward always.
I don't know
Out of
about. I
necessity.
don't know about that. I think we give less weight now to history than they probably did
I think it's the exact
years
opposite.
ago. They would have needed to depend so much more on, you know, the wisdom of the past. We, on the other hand, with our computers and all our smarts, think that we don't need it. No, that's just my opinion.
I feel like we got to a point where we recognize that we, no matter what, will repeat whatever shitty history or good history we've done, and that it's kind of, I don't want to say futile. It's not futile, but like there's not enough we could learn about our past to change how we act in the future.
I wonder if that's true. Like, we just know so little about our past that we're bound to always be repeating it because we just don't know it.
No, but hear me out. Like, even if you look at the last 100 years, which has been well documented, right? Like, not just like it's probably the most documented time in history is the last
Just this
100 years.
100 years,
Just
yeah.
the 100. If you look at how many times of the last 100 years we've repeated terrible things throughout that time, it's tough to believe that like we'd have to get to a serious point of enlightenment where something big happened that we all decided, hey, we're actually all humans.
I mean, I am truly under the belief that we are not at our best right now. So it doesn't surprise me that even within that 100 years, we're repeating the same mistakes again, because as advanced as we want to think we are, we're still like fucking war people. You know what I mean? Money and war people. And they weren't like that. I mean, maybe they were.
No, I
maybe
don't.
they've always.
Do you think there's ever been a
money
time
and
where there
war people.
wasn't war? I mean, money added to it for sure, but
No, I'm sure there was always some sort of war. Maybe. Who knows, man? Who knows? We are so accustomed to living like this. All our history supports the fact that this is how man is and this is how we're supposed to be. I just don't know what is true and what isn't anymore, man.
I give it a 3.
I also I'll give it a 3.5, actually.
Wow. Kamar?
I give it a 4.
Wow, look at that. I only give it a 3 because he didn't come with any new info. Like, this was just to sit down and chat.
Well, no, we found
the
out.
Homo lady was all new. He had never talked about that.
Sure, but
before.
okay.
And we
And
found.
We're back. Thank you so much to our sponsors. There will be links in the description. Please be sure to go and check them out. Kamar, name and a number.
2046, second Brian of the Week, Brian Redband.
The oest of OGs.
The lesser of the two Brians of the week.
If you don't know him, what are you doing here?
I'm done shitting on Brian. Actually, no, I'm not. The meowing throughout the fucking podcast can stop.
He meowed through the podcast? I didn't even hear him meow.
Kamar,
Is that him actually meowing?
what else is it? Did he bring a soundboard? Is Joe meowing? Is it Jamie?
It's part of his Snickers, definitely.
Why
Jamie.
was he meowing? I didn't even hear him meow. I swear to
For
God.
comic effect.
There's no way you didn't hear him meow. It's impossible.
I legitimately have zero. Look at my eyes, Matt.
I believe you.
Zero idea what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
In the group chat, Matt mentioned, this who do you want to have on just as we're about to go into World War III.
Well, it totally makes sense. Let's get an expert on there. Brian Redman.
But
I just honestly
Uncouth man in America.
just think about it. Like you have literally all of you have all the resources at your fingertips. And you bring on Brian Redband?
And trust me, Matt, everybody else is out there getting experts.
Yeah.
timing is everything. I'm sure Brian
This
did not
was-
want to talk about
This
it.
was recorded
It couldn't have
no,
been.
it
They
couldn't
spoke
have been.
about
You're
it.
absolutely
I will.
right.
I will give Joe credit. Like if I'm Joe, I'm steering clear of this fucking topic across the board.
But I feel like Joe's been thinking about it constantly and has
Yeah.
willed it into existence.
Has been thinking about the Israel-Palestine
He keeps
conflict.
talking about whenever he's got a moment to himself, he's like, the world's coming to an end. Like, he constantly goes on about
You're not wrong.
Worries about it.
I mean, it would make sense.
I don't want to blame it on him.
if this was Joe's simulation.
It would, yeah.
No one.
we would
has
make a lot
done
more
better.
sense.
We would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You guys remember there was a time where everything made in sort of Asia side was just garbage. Maybe you're too young.
No, I mean,
But
still,
I
there's a
swear
lot
to
of
God,
stuff
when
that's
I was a
made over there
kid,
that's terrible.
China was a struggling nation.
Yeah.
And stuff made in Taiwan was always like cheap toys and just the cheapest stuff was coming from there.
That wasn't necessarily because they were a struggling nation. That was because America wanted the cheapest things possible.
Yeah, that helps too.
Like we pretend like China made cheap things and then forced America to buy. No,
Yeah.
America made China what it is today, right now.
Yeah.
They created them because they needed a slave labor force. Everything that happens there, cheaply made stuff, is because that is what we wanted. And when I say America, I mean everybody.
You mean the Western world?
Western
Yeah.
world. Thank you. I'm including us in there.
Of course,
I'm
we're
not-
complicit. Yeah.
100% complicit.
We just have we have a fraction of the population. That's all.
yeah.
So
for
the
sure.
drive for sales is not as big.
Right. But we are 1,000.
Yeah.
I include myself in that. The Americans.
I get it. I do too. I'm just saying that, like, even when people want to buy ads from us, they just want to know the percentage of American listeners.
Right.
They don't give a shit about any other demographic.
Why-
and fair enough. Why would
why
you?
would
There's
they?
fucking 380 million people. I would.
If
I
it's
agree.
a numbers game.
I mean, listen. Even as a podcast, we want to be popular in the States. I don't give a shit if we're the number one podcast in Canada. To be fair and honest.
or in
America, all roads lead to.
or in
Of course.
in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, like I genuinely, if I found out that no American listeners listen to us, but we were number one in Canada, I would be like, I don't know.
You know
it's
what
like
I-
being like Rush.
You know what I just found out recently?
Go on.
What movie is it with Borat? Or sorry, what is it? Kazakhstan
Yeah.
that he talks about? Yeah.
Well, that's where he's from.
Yeah. So he made everybody believe through that movie that Kazakhstan is like a bunch of sheep herding morons. You know what I mean? That's that when you think of Kazakhstan,
My
that's
wife.
what you think of. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It turns out like Kazakhstan was like super advanced.
It's a huge country.
Apparently it was like when you go there, it has the most mason stonework of anywhere in the world. Like it's just totally not
The stereotype he put on it is
At all,
inaccurate.
at all.
Well,
Yeah, but
there's
hold on,
some
but-
bumpkin anywhere.
Oh, I'm-
That's what
anywhere.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm
yeah.
sure the same way you could go
Like if you picked a butt
drive north anywhere from here to
Oh, yeah.
Edmonton and you're going to hit some bumpkin.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying. If you if that guy kind of does represent Canada. If you think about how we are looked at in the world,
To the Americans.
yeah, well, it's a hey, no do to booted. How you
Yeah,
doing,
no,
eh?
I mean, it just doesn't take a lot to form people's opinions, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, don't forget this country of Kazakhstan was livid at Sacha Baron Cohen.
Right. But the rest of the world, that one movie formulates opinions of millions and millions and millions of people.
I mean, I'm like Kamar, where I saw it as like he's playing a fucking dude who lives in the country.
Who
Like,
doesn't like Jews and he's Jewish. That's what I always brought it back to.
well, Borat's not Jewish.
Well, Sacha Baron Cohen
Yes,
is
it
Jewish.
is. Yeah.
No, you're totally missing the point, but that's fine. Let's just move.
Throw the Jew down the well.
You guys are globbing on to the wrong part of this example.
People have their sides.
yeah.
And you should always be able to change your mind if new information comes to you. But we have found ourselves, the three of us and other people, dying with Apple in the battle of the phones.
Yeah.
You could not imagine going to.
That's more just because I'm lazy and it took me this long to learn this much. You know what I mean? And I can't like start anew at this
A
point.
free phone.
Kamar, I was thinking about buying that Sony phone because the camera on it.
And you work with some Sony products.
Yeah. But they've integrated like a professional level camera into a phone. And it is I mean, at this point, the iPhone 15 is probably pretty close in what you can do.
All the phones are basically the same.
You know,
You can shoot a major. I guarantee you right now, if you had, it's all about lighting. You could shoot a major motion
And a
picture.
script.
Well, yeah, of course. No, but I'm saying as far as just the shots.
Well, there's Creator, I think. No, there's some big movie that's filmed on something very basic.
you know what though? I
Yeah, it's
think
on a $4,000 camera.
That's it.
Yeah,
I use so little of what's available.
Yeah,
on
you do,
this.
yeah.
I could probably easily switch to like a fair trade made phone that gives you less stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not being. I could do that because I use so little. I use the phone. I use the camera. I use like audio notes, and that's about it. Oh, and maps.
one of the coolest things Apple added to the iPhone a couple of years ago that no one I know utilizes is the shortcuts. You.
I don't even know what you're
I
talking
don't know
about.
what that means.
So they added an app. It's called Shortcuts, and you can go into it and you can customize they're called shortcuts. So like you can set up, for example, let's say Simon, you have. I mean, now Shep's older, but let's say when Shep was like 12 years old, you could set up a shortcut on his phone where if Shep says, "Hey Siri, emergency," pick whatever word, pick a safe word, doesn't matter. Once he says that to Siri, you have set up the parameters where.
I'm still not sure about that.
Yeah, okay. You have then set up the parameters where she will text you and Halima a setup text saying, "Mom, Dad, I'm in trouble. This is my location." It'll send a pin, and it can also call 911. So you can set up your phone. It's crazy what you can do with this fucking thing that none of us do.
It's like we only use 10% of our brain. We only use 1% of our phone.
Yeah, and I use even less than that.
Exactly.
The bare minimum to get it done.
But
and
I also
we're
feel like I only use like 2.5% of my brain, so
Playing
that
with
makes
power.
sense.
Dude, if you're a criminal, you should set up a shortcut where you say, wipe the phone.
Erase everything on my phone,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Dude, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Little criminal trick for all you out there. San Francisco's not losing. Come on.
I saw that. The things, like I was thinking about, not necessarily what they were talking about, but it'll lead into it. Memories when we were talking about, the olden days or whatever, growing up, and how little photos there are of you. You may get, if you went on vacation, there'd be 8 photos, and through the rest of the year, you take 14 photos and 12 photos of something else, and that'd be. You can do that in a day easily, and you never look back to it. Every fireworks you've ever filmed is just taking up space and eating your memory. Just this access to, like, 95% of the pictures of you have been taken the last 10 years
I disagree.
in your life. Oh, no?
For me,
You
opposite.
had a lot of baby pictures and stuff?
I don't allow my photo to be taken. Like Simon's the same. Simon won't.
I still think 90% of the photos taken of me have been in the last
You
20
you
years
guys aren't
and not the
selfie
first
guys.
20
Go
years.
onto my Facebook. There's not that many photos of me.
Do you ever take selfies just for yourself?
Never.
I don't think I've ever taken a selfie ever.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God.
First off, there's something with your eyes and your brain where the selfie
You're
camera.
looking the wrong way.
Yeah. So
when you see it.
when I see
That's
it,
acting.
when I see it, my nose looks crooked beyond fuck.
It's like when you hear your voice on a recording for
yeah.
the first time, you're just like, well, I'm never doing this
Yeah.
again.
What I do sometimes, and it's a little bit debilitating, is I'll just set up my phone on video
yeah.
and just sort of walk around just to see what I look like.
So your bad posture,
And you know how when you're playing a video game with your controller,
Yeah.
you try to move the camera so your body will look better, but it actually is what it is.
Come on, this is crazy. So my YouTube the other day played a video from our YouTube. Like, you know how it just if it's on autoplay?
My YouTube, yeah. Okay.
So because I follow our
Brought up
podcast,
Jerry
it played
in the
an old
queue.
video of me playing that fucking stupid game where the guy's in the pot. And dude, I was watching. So I come down and I see that it's on. I watch it for 2 minutes. I'm looking at myself. I look like I'm high on methamphetamines. Dude, it's not just that. When I'm in super concentration, I used to laugh at my dad because my dad was like Michael Jordan. If he was really concentrated, his tongue was going all over the fucking place. Oh, dude, he was just like. So when I'm in super concentration mode, I'm like biting my tongue. Like I look like a fucking.
We had a
chunky-
buddy who did this all the time.
Well, I think me and Simon both are proud of you stopping playing that game. I mean, we also are proud of you doing the sacrifice to put out more content. and beef up the channel. But do you remember the game you used to play with the one pickaxe?
I remember, yeah.
The
It's
most
a very
frustrating. It's
game.
without a doubt the most frustrating game on earth.
And I think you're better off
Yeah,
without
just
it.
thinking about it is making me angry.
Watching 2 minutes of it, I was like, I'm gonna go and throw the fucking computer in the garbage.
Furthermore, watching someone who does well at it.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
I don't think we've quite figured out how getting electrocuted in water works.
Why water conducts the electricity?
No, but like what Kamar's saying, like if
All
the
the fish
ocean gets
die
struck
every
by
time or
lightning,
something.
not all the fish die.
No,
it
it
dissipates.
probably has to do with the being at the top of the water.
So you think it's a surface
I think
thing?
it's
Yes.
different. If you're underneath
If you're
the
2
water,
feet under,
I do
you
not
might
think
be all
you
right.
get electricity.
Like if you're on the surface.
electrocuted, I think if you're like got your feet in the water but your body outside, then you get fucked up. But I can look that up. Just
But I think Joe's question still holds water. Like how far away? Like if lightning strikes 200 meters away from you and you're on the surface, does it stretch that far?
On a lake, I would think. But on the ocean, I would not think.
Yeah, well, the ocean's fucking, yeah.
The dispersal theory that we don't even know.
I love when stuff like this comes up and it just shows how stupid we are.
I mean, why would we know that?
I don't know.
Well, no, but it's always more the toaster in the bathtub was their example, immediate example, and the electricity. There's not much room for it to disperse.
Well,
If
no,
in the
but
tub.
dude, the whole voltage of your house going through you, yeah.
But I always wonder when people are on stage and it's raining.
Listen to this. Although scientists don't know exactly just how deep the lightning discharge reaches in water, it's very dangerous to be swimming or boating during a thunderstorm. So it's not good to be on the water.
Yeah.
They don't know how far down exactly
crazy.
it goes.
You
Like,
think they
how do
would've
we
tested
not know that?
Oh, you can't test it. It's lightning. Well, because you'd need, Simon,
Yeah, you
you'd-
could just make the same amount of energy that comes, electricity that comes from lightning to do your test. They do tests on everything. It's like this one. Oh, because it has to do with the ocean. We're not going down there.
It must kill birds all the time.
lightning?
Like a bunch of birds just floating on the water, taking a rest or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
It's true they're talking about all the famous people they know. Austin has always been just a cool city.
Oh my
South
God.
by Southwest.
Listen to this.
Austin city limits.
Is it safe to take a shower or bath during a thunderstorm? No. Lightning can travel through plumbing. It is best to avoid all water during a thunderstorm.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Imagine dying in the bath because your house got struck by lightning. That'd be pretty fucking embarrassing. That's not the best way to go.
Joe is giving flowers to Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I think what he's happy about with it or whatever is it was sort of progressive. Like Pee-wee was sort of gay or whatever and was making it through the world and running into all these people and getting acceptance. Like
It never occurred to me growing up that
it seemed like an
Pee-wee
open-minded
was
concept.
gay.
No,
It
I
never
shouldn't have said
crossed my mind.
that. But a little weird guy's
he was
all right.
just a
Everyone's all
weird
right.
dude.
A little weird guy's all right.
All
And,
right.
and again, I know we talked about this before. That movie still holds up. It is a fun movie. It's a Tim Burton movie. Great visuals and just a funny, fun story.
Rest in power. But it's interesting that he got the, I think it was jerking off in a theater.
Yeah. It was in Sarasota, Florida.
Didn't we agree that it must have been more than that, though? He must have been like blowing some dude or something, and that's what it came down to in the media.
I don't know. Florida's pretty, I don't know.
Why is he in there jerking off in the movie theater?
Because porn, there
Maybe
was
it
no
was high.
phones.
Who the fuck knows?
He was a famous person.
I'm sure
He could
that-
have had his own movie
I'm
theater.
sure the theater is a fetish.
I truly believe that was probably a place they went to hook up with other gay dudes. He got caught doing that. He made a deal with like the newspapers or whatever, and they agreed to say that. I don't know. It's very peculiar. It's very peculiar. I don't know.
Last time we talked about we did it for the movie game, so we will not be doing it for the movie game. Religion needs to be stylish.
Go on.
That was a statement they made. Like the style has gone on too long, but for sure the smocks and stuff priests wore were quite sharp back in the day. They have stood the test of time.
Sure.
I don't know why they wore such stupid clothes. It must have been like some tribute to God or something.
But it was stylish.
I'm gonna find
And if you start a new religion now, see that's why I think.
Why
the
do you think it's
church-
stylish?
No, they said it. They said religion's got to be stylish, and that in the time they looked like wizards and just they look sharp.
That's probably where it came from. They were all like wizards, and then they just over time.
I like Kamar. They look sharp.
Then Joe dumped Israel.
It's all because of the kind of robes worn by Christ at the Last Supper.
They look godlike and whatnot.
It's what he wore. So it's all in homage to him.
And it was sort of that dish dash style too, eh? The man dress.
The dish dash?
That's what people used to wear.
I don't know. I don't know what people used to wear.
Yeah, a dish dash.
Dish dash?
I don't know if that was the word, but I know what you're talking about. A dashiki.
Dashiki.
That's what it is.
A dish dash?
Yeah,
It's
thank
not
you.
a dish dash.
A dish dash?
They then got
We got there.
into to Brian's dismay, Israel and Palestine. So the solution is to build a massive resort in Gaza, so they all have jobs, and it becomes they have a. Joe keeps going on about how they have to take the resources. They have enough problems in their own country. I think you have to pick either Haiti or Gaza as a concerted effort because it's both lack of opportunity.
So you think they should turn Gaza into like Vegas? That's your plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everyone lives there, works there. They have a meaning. There's no reason to hate these guys. Like they are oppressed there, whatever. But
My immediate reaction would be to just tell him what a fucking idiot he is.
Okay.
But he's been right about so many things. I mean, maybe that is the answer.
well, it's the same answer that Joe's saying.
So you're coming around.
The same answer.
Yeah, I think I might be coming
the same
around.
answers that Joe's saying for American inner cities
Yeah.
is give jobs, build a factory, whatever. So there is an alternative to being a gangster or making the fast money that all you see.
And you have to incentivize people. It all works on incentive. Read The Tipping Point. And
incentivize and not force.
well, no, this
as opposed to forcing.
Look, he always makes this example, and I think it's a good one. They put out these contracts to Blackwater or whoever after the wars to clean up Afghanistan, to clean up wherever. These are multi-billion-dollar contracts. Just give the same contracts to clean up your own goddamn country, and you will incentivize people to do it, and it'll get done.
But they'll probably tell you it's a lot easier to do stuff in these other countries because there's no red tape or regulation.
No, I don't think that's what they would
They
tell
can just
you.
get shit done.
Oh, like the Blackwater people, you mean?
Whoever it is that whatever they do. For one thing, in Afghanistan, like show me the receipts of what you did.
Well, it's probably because nothing is getting done there. They have a deal with the government to actually do nothing, and the government gets to just keep spending money.
I heard the best anecdote about corruption this week. So the problem, let's use Afghanistan as an example. So you have 3 people bidding on a contract. Okay. You have a Chinese guy, a Pakistani guy, and an Englishman. Okay. And so the Chinese guy comes in and he says, I can do the job for 10 million. And the Pakistani guy comes in and he says, I can do the job for 20 million. And then the Englishman comes in and he says, I can get the job done for 30 million. And the guy says, why 30? Because the Chinese guy said he'd do it for 10. And he says, well, it's simple. 10 million for you, 10 million for me. And then we pay the Chinese guy 10 million and he does the job.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so that's part of the problem is like you're saying, let's see the receipts.
That's
what you'd see.
That's where it's all coming to. If anyone says, "Yeah, where's the money coming from this? From the bullets?
That
all
sounds
all
like
that money.
a punchline to a joke.
Yeah, but it's
like
not.
legitimately. Yeah. That is exactly what happens
Yes,
here.
100%.
That is how grotesquely inflated the whole economic system is. It's a bloated, disgusting mess.
Yeah. And the problem with
certain people are better at it than others.
And the problem with the BlackRocks of the world, these private equity firms, is like all they do is buy up companies and then siphon as much money out of them as they can by like raising the prices and lowering the quality of the goods to the point where like, anyone who starts a company, like we were talking about it with Logan Paul, Kamar's right. Logan Paul's goal is to sell Prime for billions of dollars to one of these private equity firms, because that's everyone's goal is like build a company, 3 years later, sell it to one of these private equity firms for $2 billion and then live out the rest of your days happy. But in doing so, we all end up with shitty goods that are super expensive and whatever.
And then to your dismay, Brian and Joe both piled on Canada and how horrible it is here now.
I don't care. They
How
can do
free
that.
they thought it was.
And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but all of the conspiracy theories we talk about take place in the United States. They have these two organizations that do nothing but try and put their own people in prison, go behind their own people's backs to spend like, come on, we all live in societies where our governments are garbage. Let's not pretend that we're any worse than you guys or any less free than you guys. Like, that's crazy.
Do you guys think, would the U.S. benefit from, well, I guess it's so dysfunctional already, a third party?
I don't know. Just back to what Simon said real quick, because I'd like to push back on that. I mean, Simon, I would say that Mike Ward alone would prove to me that they are slightly more free than we are, at least a little bit.
I think it's just an illusion of freedom, though. Like, you give and take in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And
I feel like ours is way sneakier here.
I agree.
Way sneakier here. Way more people are way more vocal for anything they do towards
well, they have
taking freedoms, whereas here is like, I'm sure there's a good reason. Like the censorship of the news, well, because they're going to make money, allegedly. But
I mean, you got to realize, too, we come, like, historically, we don't like to talk about this, but historically speaking, like, Americans were farmers that took up arms to fight the British. You know what I mean? They're from those people. We were kind of like, well, that's how we got here. Like, that is
we fought the French, didn't we?
Yeah, but we were with the British. It was the British fighting the French. The point is like, we are still a constitutional monarchy where they, like I said, we're a bunch of farmers who were like, fuck this.
Sure. I mean, I think we're a lot more like the Americans than we are like the British, frankly. So
I don't know. I would disagree with that too.
So Brian put out his brilliant idea of like, now you could have all the issues on your phone and you vote on them and then you feed it into AI.
That was not Brian.
And it makes everybody happy.
Yeah, we had that idea 4 years ago.
Well, Brian took it from us.
And
And I wouldn't want to be anyone better to steal our idea. So you go, Brian.
The problem is there's too many internet fucking trolls.
Yeah, and you know how easy it is to I was going to say get somebody else's phone, but it doesn't work like that. You would have a password to get in and stuff.
No, but I just mean like, like even as something.
Jamie was the big pushback. It's about it being hacked. It's got to be hackable proof, which we believe might lie somewhere in the blockchain.
Well, that's why a lot of people believe it's better to have people like hand count ballots than let a computer do it, right? Or a machine do it.
No, I like the blockchain, something where you can literally see.
That doesn't instill much confidence with me. Someone. That's so official. You just throw one in the garbage.
I guess when it comes down to something as important as who the president is going to be, you're supposed to like
we lull into our head ourselves. Yeah, this is the best way.
I just keep in mind the ballot thing is very archaic, and it worked. It worked when there was 15 million people in the States. But now there's 300 million votes to count, supposedly.
You're talking about counting the ballots by hand?
Yes.
Do you guys? I always wrestle that. I think like people in North Korea think they're happy.
I don't believe so. I think that they're like conditioned to be like, I'm happy.
I think North Korea is a bad example because they're treated so horribly.
Like, how are you happy if you're starving?
But if you go back to...
You don't know better.
Well,
no, you know hunger. You know hunger.
This is as good as it gets.
No.
And those people you think are hungry are eating worms, to be honest with you.
Like I said...
That's not going to work,
I don't
whatever
know
you're
what's
doing.
going
Well,
on
you
here.
slid all the way over. You're way over. There you go.
Like I was telling you about China the other day.
China.
We think to ourselves, oh, it's all people working in slave camps and making toys that are going to poison American children. Most of the people in China love China and they love living there and they live a great life. And
that may
these
be,
are all boogeyman stories made up by people who want
true
us to
in North
believe.
Korea, or
No, I think North Korea is different because I mean, maybe he's not really a dictator and that's just what they want us to believe. But I think, all those people escaping from there and telling us how terrible it was, that seems more When you hear it out of the person Sung-Yu Lee Park's mouth, that's not coming from CNN.
Well, not everything she says is true.
I know, Kamar, but
that-
she's not the only one who's told that story.
I know, but
There's been
but Dennis Rodman said he went there and it was cool.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you just showed him the best. They gave the
Dennis
Instagram North
Rodman
Korea.
went there as a fucking guest of honor, and I don't believe a thing that comes out of that guy's mouth. So
I know you're not going to like this, Kamar, but Shane from fucking Vice also went there, and he was like, he painted a totally different story. He said what Simon's saying. He's like, they are doing their best to show me that this place is great, but he's like, this place clearly fucking stinks and is not like.
I bet you they're really pissed off right now.
the North Koreans.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that everyone's worried about
Iran.
other people, not
Yeah.
them. AI would disapprove of God.
Why?
Why you guys wasting your time? I got this. There's no guy in the sky.
But maybe AI would
Or AI would
just
see that religion works as the
religion
framework
is
keeper
the
there.
perfect framework to keep these chimps in line.
Because it's not going to be jealous.
Like if I tell them to do it, they're not going to do it. But if I somehow convince them that there's an imaginary force up there, not saying that God isn't true. I'm saying if it wasn't an imaginary force up there, but it's telling them it's in their best interest to do it, then it's all about incentive, baby. Read Tipping Point.
It's interesting you have time if you want to care, because it is depressing to watch the news, but like battle wording, like surgical strikes, the initial thing like, oh, they waited for a time period, but obviously people get killed.
That is so true, though, right? Surgical strikes is the worst name you can name it. It's the most unsurgical.
I was trying to think of other examples, collateral damage, or
You should
just-
call it mass blanket strikes.
It's the craziest violence, but it's almost like a perversion of people in military to have words that describe things.
When we in our
dehumanize them.
gang in high school, we had a thing called the blanket of doom, and
I guess you didn't want to go into the blanket.
you
of doom.
definitely didn't want to be under the
Yeah.
blanket of doom.
Just cover your face.
But that's what it should be called, not surgical strike.
Yeah, the
Should be
blanket of
Obama
doom.
launched a blanket of doom
yes,
today.
there's definitely other descriptors
Simon,
they
that's
could
Ayuk
use.
scoring a touchdown.
Are you serious?
There's other descriptors they could have used.
I'm almost certain.
So
to
I
describe
only need
attacking
Robinson?
innocent people in other countries.
Am I crazy? Oh, it's a pick six. I'm wrong. Sorry, Simon. I mean to get you excited. I've cut you off too, Kamar. I'm very sorry.
According to Joe, this is the best time to watch pool.
Thanks, Joe.
Horse, this we want to do. But they also talk about watching people video games, and I realize I've probably talked about this before. I've been doing this for 10 years.
5 years.
I lived with one of our friends for a while, and he had
NHL.
No, it was Assassin's Creed,
Which one of our friends did you live with who had Assassin's Creed? Anyway, keep going. Yeah.
and I would get stoned and watch him for hours play, not pass the controller back and forth.
I thought that was weird back then. I think it's weird today.
That's because you're a player. Some people don't mind. Like I'm a player. I don't mind watching someone play. I don't know.
It's so I'm the type of guy who wants to be doing the thing.
But we're
But
watching
you-
football right
you
now.
You guys will always play.
But there's such a difference there.
I
Matt.
disagree.
No, we're losing football right now. But you guys would always play each other
Yes.
at something.
Yeah.
But it's a one-person game.
Oh, we understand.
So the best you could do is when you die, you pass it to me, and we go through this together. You guys would never do that. That's too collaborative for you.
No, we wouldn't do that.
But I've done that before.
For me, he was so much better at the game that I just slowed it down. So I'd sit back and watch and enjoy the game. And lo and behold, it's a huge thing. He's like, it's weird now. It's like, it's what is. Anyways,
I don't think it's weird.
Yeah, listen, I'm the oddity, all right?
Joe had to leave YouTube because of the censorship, and it's really crazy. We've talked about it ad nauseum, just and I think it's only the first 15 minutes of episodes and stuff, but it'll be super bleeped out and
The worst.
surprising words that you don't normally
It's the worst.
assume. And it was not long ago that it felt like the Wild Wild West, so you could say anything.
Oh, YouTube stinks now.
assume that.
It's awful. I just don't want edited content. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Whatever.
You guys,
I watch things on YouTube that are clearly uncensored. I don't know what are we talking about here.
But okay, a lot of stuff that's uncensored isn't making any money, and those people.
So they're not doing it. So like when I watch Kill Tony on YouTube,
Yeah.
they're just making $0 off that.
Is there an ad playing before it?
Yeah,
they have sponsors.
they have sponsors.
sponsors.
They're
in the
probably
show.
not getting YouTube
Gotcha.
ad
Yeah.
revenue.
There's a total difference there. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying because that's clearly so there is a way to do it. Then get sponsors. Then.
Yeah. I just don't think it's easy.
That brings me to the next point. They're talking about Kill Tony's success, which Brian is part of. Like he's that secret, like Scottie Pippen, sort of. He's always there with the greatest things
He's
ever.
the secret sauce.
He's the secret
Obviously,
sauce.
if you do the math, Brian's been involved in all the things.
I said that before.
Because
got his hand in everything.
I hate to be this guy, but I remember watching Kill Tony when it was in the small room
Yeah.
of the Comedy Store,
Mm-hmm.
and then it switched to the main room, which was the craziest thing ever. And then I believe it went to the Vulcan, which is a crazy every iteration I thought was it has overachieved what it was supposed to do, and now it's selling out 2 nights in a stadium.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Like you watch, you don't think it's worthy of a stadium show, do you?
No, I can't believe that it's
Just the theater format at that point.
It's crazy.
and it's perfect to watch on YouTube, you know, like to watch as
Yeah.
but the idea of like going to a stadium to watch it is I don't even understand.
I think it's just so many more people. There's just so much more demand in America.
I don't like stadium shows anymore.
No, they're terrible.
I'd much rather go to a club or something.
Like 150
A theater.
people is the best.
I don't mind a
tight
theater.
club.
I don't mind a theater.
A theater I
Theaters-
find is a bit too big. Like there's no like that thing where you're just talking to.
I'm just saying,
a
you
point
give
in
me
the room.
Lansdowne or NAC, I'll take NAC 10 times out of 10.
Yes.
I've never been to like a good comedy club, so I don't know what that's like to go to like, you know, the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
the Mothership
Yeah.
or whatever.
The
I've
Store
only
was
been
incredible.
to shitty comedy clubs.
Yeah.
So I can't comment on it, but I don't mind a theater. Good like 250 person theater. That's fine. Why did he do that?
I don't know.
No. Why did you do that?
Because it was sort of like your sob
You
story of
scoffed
I've
at
never
me?
seen a comedy
Why?
show in a club. And you don't kill Tony when people start saying really heavy shit. They start playing the
Yeah,
Hulk
they don't do
music.
pa-rum-pa-pum-pum.
Well, whatever. I didn't have that
He
soundboard.
plays little drummer boy. All I have for thee.
Talked about the Stanhope movie. I heard Doug Stanhope do a podcast with Greg Fitzsimmons, and he said it was corny.
What was corny?
His movie. But maybe he's just that self-deprecating Doug. Like I think if you go to watch it,
What's his movie?
it's about a comic who meets a son he never thought he had and
What's
finds
it
out
called?
his cancer. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Big help there.
They said Pokemon Go has come and gone. I saw a couple on a date. Like
Searching
6
for
days ago.
Pokemon?
Yeah,
People are doing
both
it, but
on
I
the-
can remember people
it was
getting
huge.
mugged because
Yeah.
people were finding out. Like, it jumped the shark for sure.
Yeah, but I think the numbers are probably the same.
No way. No way, dude. There were so many people. I can remember
Yeah.
my brother and my son driving down the street with their hands out the windows
That's
collecting
hilarious.
Pokemon. Like, it was ridiculous for a while. You couldn't walk down the street without hitting 12 people looking for a
Yeah.
Pikachu
No, Simon's right. It was huge.
or a Bulbasaur or whatever the fuck.
3 out of 4
Needed that
people play
Bulbasaur.
video games.
3 out of 4 people.
3 out of 4 people play video games.
what-
That's a phone game.
Okay, that's what I
That
was going to
doesn't
say.
surprise me because even video games, tons of girls play now, and that would have been the line before, right?
in
It's
that-
50% of the population because all men play video games
Yeah.
and no women do.
In that lies Candy Crush.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'm sure even like
Animal Farm or whatever
Wordle
the fuck-
or
yeah.
all those things.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying even without those, you would get a lot more girls just playing normal video games. Maybe not like Call of Duty.
Oh, no,
but
a lot of
like
girls play Call of
Fortnite
Duty
and
now.
shit,
Yeah,
you know,
you're right, yeah.
whatever.
You're not wrong, Simon.
Whatever other games people play. Firefox.
Do you guys?
Is that one?
No, that's
I
a
don't
browser. That's a
No,
browser.
I believe that was a game. That
No,
was the
Star
first
Fox.
No, there's Star Fox, but then there's like a new Star something that everybody plays. now.
Starfield.
Starfield.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Or something like
I
that.
can't remember the name.
Foxfield.
Do you guys feel like you
Firefox.
miss Joey Diaz?
No.
Yeah.
He was a lot more in your orbit before the pandemic.
Of course I miss
He
him.
would have been a constant guest that you were always sort of happy he showed up and talked about the same thing Joe Rogan.
I can definitely have too much Joey Diaz. He was the perfect amount once he moved to New Jersey.
No, I disagree. I'd like Joey on at least quarterly.
He tells all the same stories again. It's just, you know what I mean? It's
It's Uncle Joey.
too
It's
much.
fun.
Are we bad people for animal testing,
Yes.
or is it like duh?
No, there are different ways we could be doing this. We choose to do it because it's the cheapest. And
So
the
we're all
easiest.
culpable. Participating in the phone slavery, animal testing.
Well, yeah.
Anyone who wants to think they're Reggie Watts.
No,
Sorry,
no, hold
that's the
on.
next one.
Hold on. Some animal testing is probably necessary
Just because it's an organism.
because there are certain things that we need to learn about ourselves that are going to save millions of lives. And then there's mascara. And I think there's a huge difference between those two things.
But
You
we
know
love
what I
our
mean?
women. Do you not love women?
No, I don't. I'm just as happy my woman not wearing mascara.
Is one life one life? You think Joe was going to this. Like, if you care about life, then you care about the ant.
I don't know about the insects.
There's some weird cutoff that
But
you
you
get
should
to.
care just about as much about a mouse as you do about a deer. Like size of the animal shouldn't dictate how much compassion you have for it.
Okay.
I think more to the point is what affects you poorly. You know what I'm saying? Mice in your house, well, you're going to kill those little fuckers. Mice outside, live your best life, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There
It's
was
like what's in
true,
your
yeah.
way.
No,
and
you're
I
not
guess
wrong.
it's the same with insects too. Like ants on an anthill in your backyard, all power to you. Ants in your kitchen, there's an
dead.
apocalypse coming. You know?
there was a crazy discussion between Cornell West and Alan Dershowitz.
Okay.
And
Cornell West is the guy who was on Rogan there.
his
He's
brother
an
Rogan.
African American.
And
Yeah. He was
Alan
in the
Dershowitz,
Matrix.
the lawyer for
Everybody.
OJ?
For
no, not for
everybody.
OJ. Everyone but
he was on
OJ.
Epstein Island. Anyways,
Okay.
He was, yes.
Cornell West was taking the position of sympathy for the people of Gaza.
Okay.
And Alan Dershowitz was defending the sovereignty of Israel.
Big surprise.
And it got down to if you have to kill a Gazan baby, because the baby's the innocent, right? For sure it's innocent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Hasn't had a chance to be
tied up
evil,
bomb.
yeah.
It wasn't consensual. But anyways, if you have to kill a baby to protect the baby of Israel, then we're sorry. And he said, well, so you said in World War II, if you had to kill a German baby to save the child in the Holocaust camp, then the German baby's less life. Like we're at a point where we're keeping score,
Okay.
but the babies are supposed to be innocent.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think the fait accompli with why we'll never be.
Well, why are the
Able to be
babies
peaceful.
being brought into the equation? I'm not sure.
Well,
I
that's collateral
understand.
damage. So he's saying they killed Israeli babies, so we have to go kill the guys that kill the babies. And if we kill
So war isn't necessarily a problem as long as it's warrior killing warrior.
well, that's
It's a
what that's,
problem with the way we fight the war.
So that's what Israel was saying, or people were saying, defending Israel. Had they attacked a military installation or something like this, that's sort of like a active war. But if you just go after civilian population who can't defend themselves, that's terrorism. And that's where the line draws. But I'm not defending any side.
No, I wasn't either. And
If-
I wasn't saying that was right. I was kind of thinking out loud there. Like, that really is it, right? It's not, you said it. All war is probably necessary in one form or another. It's just how you fight those wars that creates the problems.
I don't know if they're necessary. We just make them.
We were trying to establish which was like, is it a mouse to deer and up are all equal, but we can't even do that with ourselves, was what I was trying to say. Spider-Man, Hulk.
Spider-Man.
We've done the Hulk. We've done Spider-Man. Have you seen the Watchmen movie? They got obsessed with a big blue dick.
Yeah, that was the least important part of that movie.
Oh, I didn't even see the movie. Did
You
see
never saw The
movie?
Watchmen?
I never
No,
saw The Watchmen.
But
You never saw The Watchmen? Oh, guys, do yourself a favor. Watch The Watchmen tonight. It is fucking incredible.
Joe's disappointment in the
Is that the
portrayal
movie
of
game?
the guys.
Oh, he hasn't seen
it. Joe's disappointment in the portrayal of Big Blue Penis, though, was that of his disappointment with fight choreography. That's a weird
Well,
word.
it was hilarious, though. They like showed images of the new Watchmen, and Joe's like, where's the big blue dick? It's like, dude, everything's better. Don't worry. It's like...
And then they ended off with a morality conversation just about violence is all right to show, but full sex isn't able to show, like penetration bothers. But I would argue that sometimes violence, not showing it, just implied, can be just as powerful. In the same way, sex can be just as powerful.
Sure, yeah.
If it's not seen, it almost makes you go into reader mode when they let you.
I mean...
It would be so much better if you saw full penetration in the love scene in Top Gun.
Yeah.
Take My Breath Away.
Yeah.
But it was just full inside shots.
Yeah. I need Tom Cruise.
I think it's
inside
very
her.
odd.
You
that
knew they were in love.
Violence is no problem and sex is a huge issue. That is really weird. And that shows you exactly that just religion has infested entertainment through and through because, right? Like that puritanical, that all comes from religion. Whereas they have no problem with violence because they ran the fucking
that's how we do
crusades.
things. Yeah. That's how we got things done.
And does that
If
also
a couple of babies got to die for God,
Well,
does
that's
that
what you got to do.
does that prohibition also work like drugs and cartels?
what do you
And
mean?
this is why we have these huge porn companies. Like it's the most viewed
Yes.
video or whatever is pushed that way.
Dude, like 5 of the top 50 most visited websites are porn. If you think about all the industries we have on Earth, like all the industries, I don't know, it's odd that it's shopping and porn. Those are the two things that
We think we're so removed from the animal that we once were, but we're still so basic.
Yeah.
We're mid. We're mid at best. And Brian is a champion.
No cap.
we're mid at best.
He wanted to talk about buttholes in Olive Garden.
Yeah.
And he walked into Joe lamenting the end of the world.
Yeah.
Did he mention
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Olive Garden?
He didn't have a chance. It just wasn't there. But when he tries to say something with that, and it's always something distasteful or grody, as I would call it. Love my man Brian.
I give it a 2.
I give it a 3.
I give it a 2.5.
All right, moving on. Last one of the week. Did anyone win anything? Did you didn't cash that ticket out, Simon, did you?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
all over. Atlanta
It's
killed us,
over.
boys.
What a fool.
What a fool. Yeah, I missed on Bajon Robinson and Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, that's a real
Well, they're not done yet, actually. Are they?
I'm pretty sure they're both. If they're not, it's in the last dying embers of the game. Sad.
Everything's just a mess. 2048, Reggie, Watts.
That buyout, Matt, was literally available for 5 minutes. Or 2 minutes,
Yeah.
whatever it was. I didn't even have time to think properly about it, and then it never came back.
I'm sorry.
That's life in the fast lane, boys.
Fucking terrible day.
Reggie Watts is our favorite everyman who only drives electric Porsches.
Yeah.
I was telling Kamar there's like a moment in this where he says, "Oh, I can't afford a personal trainer," and then goes on to mention all the Porsches he owns.
Yeah. And tried to buy a $1
And
million
now he's going
house.
to buy all
Yeah.
this shit.
Oh,
a
no.
$1 million house doesn't seem like a lot for a movie star.
Well, no, it ended up being
Well, it
a
ended
$2
up being
million
$3 million,
house or whatever.
yeah, something like that.
But he said, no, I don't want a trainer. And then Joe said, well, you could just do yourself. It's like, no, I do like a trainer. He had so many words to describe articulately how lazy and just a normal guy he was. But I think it has something to do with his musical comedy. Puts him on another level of just a person who just tells jokes. And also he was the band leader for Seth Meyers' show.
Why does he keep? Are you having
It's
a
just
problem?
gross to say that. Like he shouldn't have a show. It was horrible. Oh no. I'm sorry. He was
Stop.
James Corden I don't know.
I don't remember.
Anyways, I do like Reggie Watts. You guys like Reggie Watts?
I mean, I
indifferent.
didn't like him in this episode,
I
but he
thought-
seems like a nice enough guy.
If they didn't get together to talk for an hour and a half about cars,
Yeah.
they could have run into a lot of pushback scenarios.
Because he's very left.
I think we might have made fun of Reggie for the helmet he had last time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I think
Yes, we did.
Homo no lady.
with hunting there could have been some issues. And I think with climate change,
Again, a
there
homo
could
no
have been some
lady.
issues.
Yeah.
They start off by drinking Kratom, a Kratom matcha mix.
Oh, so Kratom sounds great, eh?
No. Does
Oh,
it?
it does. Yeah, it sounds great.
Really? You think it sounds great? That's
It
interesting.
works off your opioid receptors without any of the
The bad. Yeah. Okay.
downfall from opioids. Sounds great.
You've never done it though.
No,
Okay. Nor have I.
no.
Nor have I.
But I want to be Reggie's friend because I like that he says he's the master doser.
He says he's really good at dosing.
I
He
need
did
a
not say
master doser.
Yeah.
But he just tries ketamine because his friend got
Like
a pill.
we have
and
a
he thought he'd try it
friend,
out.
we have a friend who could be a master doser,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's more like a masturbator. So I'm
Yeah, it's
afraid
tough.
to
Yeah,
let
that is
him
tough.
do any dosing on me. You know.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go masturbator, so that was a common denominator. You could have done better there. Saw it coming, like your
Oh
Kirk
my
Cousins
god!
pass.
Like a true fucking comedy legend, funniest man in Ottawa here.
Yeah, he really
sees
is.
jokes coming 2 kilometers away.
Yeah.
But it was
That's his
there was
superpower.
a lot of amateur pharmacology going on this, and it makes sense that ketamine is PCP
Why?
Why?
because PCP was a
Is
wild
ketamine
card.
PCP?
I think so. I think both horse tranquilizer. I think they're both, as Reggie said, to calm down really large animals.
Mm-hmm.
But I found the legend of PCP was guys with superhuman strength fighting off a bunch of cops.
Yeah, again, it's like the acid staying in your spinal cord for 75
This
years.
is what we were
That's just
told.
what they want you to think. Ketamine, hold on.
A dissociative anesthetic. So even if you knew
So here, ketamine versus PCP. Here's the difference. You ready? Hold on a sec. Street names: Kit Kat, K. Common names for PCP: Angel Dust, Rocket Fuel, Elephant Tranquilizer.
elephant tranquilizer
Okay,
and
here's
ketamine's a horse
apart from being
tranquilizer.
hallucinogens, here are the differences. Addiction potential. PCP has a way bigger addiction potential. And that's about it. Yeah, they're very close. Kamar, you're right.
Dissociatives.
Yeah, disassociatives.
And I believe in Friday, that's what
Angel dust.
they put in.
I think that's what I got
Chris Tucker's
in
joint.
Britain that day with the guy who had the hash back in
his
his beard.
Hash
There'll be a
beard.
beer.
And then that's where I thought Bigfoot was going to get me.
Oh, old hash beard.
That's where my Bigfoot thing started too, all because of old hash beard.
I'm so upset. The footage for a while of wars was banned. I think back Obama did it.
Footage of like
War
Afghanistan war,
War
was
of
footage,
banned?
soldiers dying.
Just in general, it was
Which is weird because it was such a big thing with Desert Storm and like
Well,
that was all.
I think it was a big thing until it was caskets specifically. But even Trump blocked the media out of getting rid of ISIS or whatever they do.
I
with
think
ISIS.
it's a bigger deal now when you're using drones and your blanket of doom aerial attacks, where you're going to be showing all these babies dying at picnics in order to get one dude at a wedding. You know, like it's just bad optics for you. I'm sure.
Well, the point that they brought up is just now like all those guys were filming it. Like people were filming it. Hamas, whatever terrorists were filming it and posting it on Twitter. Like it wasn't like they were doing it secretly and didn't want anyone to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it cannot be controlled as easily by the powers that be. Maybe
No,
it's
we
a
live in
good
a
thing.
different world now. Like,
Maybe it's a good thing, but it definitely, it just, when they say some people may find The next
following,
picture's
yeah.
disturbing. Can we find out the people that don't find it disturbing?
Yeah.
Because any word
They're all sociopaths.
everyone should find it disturbing.
It's true. It's true.
And Reggie thinks everything is all conflict is from capitalism, which we sort of got to
We
before
talked
about
this
the
about.
money.
Didn't I say this last week?
Mm-hmm.
It all is capitalism. That is the root of all the problems. Probably
Again.
without capitalism, there's no war
I disagree with that.
because wars will be fought for love.
Well, because wars were fought under communism, socialism. You act like there weren't wars before capitalism. There's been war long before capitalism.
I mean,
So to say that's just crazy.
but
Listen,
it's always for an accumulation of wealth, right? Unless
sure.
it's for religion, but that's what we were led to believe. But,
But no, 'cause
really,
for a long
the
time it was
religion
land.
is wealth. Again, wealth.
Yeah, sure. But my
Land
point
is wealth.
Okay, but again, that in
So
a pre
that's a form of
in a
capitalism.
pre-capitalist society, there was a ton of fucking war, and in non-capitalist society, there is war. So I have a tough time believing that. Again, you could say right now the wars that we fight are based on capitalism. I can get down with that.
Well,
but I'm
that's
also
for
not going to
sure.
throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like capitalism is great. The way we do capitalism happens to be pretty shitty. Like
I've
when
yet to see a good version of it.
Well, no, like when you play the game of Monopoly, there's rules, right? Because without it, I'm just emptying out the bank,
Yeah.
and then I'm putting fucking hotels up everywhere I want because that's it.
Yeah.
And then the game is ruined and it's
Yeah.
shit. So even in a board game like Monopoly that's based around capitalism, there are things in place to keep it.
So as long as you follow the rules, then you think capitalism works. But the second that you start paying the banker to let you go
This
around
is what
go
I'm saying.
twice, you have
Yes.
a problem. Yeah, I mean, probably. I just don't. We've never seen it run right, so I don't know if that's true or not, Matt. I'm more likely to agree with you than not, but
I would argue that from World War II until the 80s, capitalism was working just fine. And then in the 80s, Ronald Reagan came in and removed a ton of the fucking banking
regulations. But I think it started before that. I think it started after
Sure.
JFK.
Okay, maybe.
And
I'm just,
maybe even before that. No, it
Sure.
must have been before that. Whenever the war started, that's when
listen, you could
they
argue that.
realized they
But
could
does
make all the
capitalism
money.
pay for all the social programs?
Yeah, of course it does. Listen, Simon, banks are the real problem. Like banking, the invention of banking was a massive issue.
Well, that happened a long time ago.
I know, and it's only because gold was very heavy to carry around. So it was like, hey, why don't you keep your gold here? I got this really safe spot.
Right.
And then Kamar comes along and is like, hey, can you lend me some gold? And I write him out a piece of paper that says, yeah, you now owe me for this gold. And he moves that debt around, and that's paper money. And yeah,
He called them corporatocrats, and this circled around again that this is what AI would eliminate. You have capitalism with your socialism.
Yeah, it eliminates it by just eliminating all humans. That's the
I mean, again,
that
Kamar,
that's
could be
the
the one.
rub.
like we already live in a capitalistic society with many socialized things. Like Joe talks about it. The police, that's socialized. Firefighters, that's socialized. We all just pay for it in taxes. We don't have a choice.
We live in a hybrid society, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
we just
we-
don't. The Americans hate the word socialism, but like again, if you look at the Nordic countries, they are democratic socialists. You can.
I was trying to think it again because our healthcare system is better because it's free.
No, it's not better.
Their healthcare system is better because they pay for it.
It's a system thing. The
better because essentially anybody who needs help gets help. That is not the case in the United States. So on a whole, it's better. Do we get a better medicine than a rich person in the United States? No.
Yeah,
The answer is no.
That's the where you gotta.
But then
figure
a
out your-
rich person in the United States, not of a common man in the United States.
There's a
or
girl that comes to
woman.
trivia all the time. She's a nurse, and the other night I was talking to her, and I said, "Hey, I got to ask you a question." I was like, "You hear all the time that the ERs are filled with people with stuff up their ass." I was like, "Is that really true? Like, is it honestly that frequent, or is it just like a once a month thing that you guys all have a good laugh at?" And she was like, "All the time." And I thought to myself, I was like, I know we have the triage system, so it's not like you getting something up your ass is stopping someone with a gunshot wound from getting care. But the problem is like, in a society where you can just go to the emergency room and they'll take anything out of your ass, you're not incentivized to not stick stuff up your ass.
So you're contending that there are far less people sticking things up their ass in the United States than there are in Canada, because here you get free ass removal and there you
Yes, it might cost you $400 or $500 to have something removed from your ass there,
I'm
unless you're
in no
insured.
position to argue this with you, but I would love to see the numbers.
It's not even a numbers thing. My point is just, Simon, like, there's a lot of things, like, there are certain things we are incentivized to not do because there's a monetary, like
Penalty.
Think about, like, speeding is a good one, where if there's no demerit points, you feel free to speed. You're just going to pay the price should you get caught.
It's crazy how many tickets I've gotten lately by virtual.
The fucking automated, dude. And yet,
It drives me crazy. They are not catching me.
I
They're
know.
catching me,
I got one doing deliveries for you guys, and I was like, well, there's a fucking day's pay. It's unreal.
It's always in those school zones.
Always.
Yeah. I'm just not used to it.
Nope.
I would slow down. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt the kids.
You know what's funny is when I watch Uber drivers drive around, they're always obeying every law and
And you
driving so
wondered
slow.
why?
No, and it hit me the other day. I was like, their bottom line matters so
ticket,
much. One ticket
whole
ruins the day.
day.
Yeah. So you're just working for the government at that point.
That's all your tips.
But you feel safe. You at the end of the day, you feel safer that way than someone you don't know whipping around.
Go on.
Your Uber driver,
Yeah.
they're driving safe because a ticket would ruin their day.
Yeah.
But if they were to drive reckless, like you would not feel good about it.
Well, cabbies drive reckless. Have you ever been to New York?
Yeah, but you don't feel good about it.
No, I
maybe
feel
maybe if you
terrible
do if
about
you're
it.
late.
There's never been more anxiety in my life than taking a cab in New York City.
Hold on. I think the problem, though, Kamar, is there's a difference between, like, reckless driving. I don't want Uber drivers out there driving recklessly.
Aggressive.
Sometimes overly cautious driving is as big a detriment.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes-
mostly to us because we're in a hurry.
Yes. Well,
No, there's
that's a
danger.
factor.
There's overly safe drivers that make it a little more dangerous because a normal driver would do something. You're anticipating that.
Which,
Again, and I'm in the same boat here.
Yeah.
if you were
It's
early,
mostly
you wouldn't be as
because
bothered.
I'm in a rush and I need to get somewhere fast.
Not disagreeing with that either,
So that's
If I
something
was early.
which is never the case. I'm never early.
for self care, whatever. Everyone should try to create more patience, have a bigger bank of patience, just to help us all. But with conversations, they're talking about seeing ideas, change your ideas, but there's got to be some things we agree on. Should there be like a stated, when you do a lie detector test, you ask your name, you ask what day is it? You ask a bunch of questions.
Baseline.
So you have a base. So it just 5 questions. Ask anyone. Okay, we agree on these. Now we can go into things we disagree on and see where we find each other. I did not come up with those 5 questions. Something about
A stupid fucking point. You could have just left that out completely.
no. They were talking about talking to people and change ideas, but like if someone tells Reggie they think the Earth is flat,
That's a problem for
he's
him.
out.
Yeah.
But if they think the moon is hollow, he might be interested.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
That is interesting because for me, like, flat Earth used to be the deal breaker.
Yeah.
If you were a flat earther, I don't want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah.
And if you didn't believe, like, in the moon landing, but all of those things have gone out the window. Now I'm like, if you don't believe the moon is a giant spaceship,
How do we even have
how
a
are we going to
conversation?
have this conversation? Exactly.
You don't believe in dinosaurs. Maybe it's the other way around. Have you ever had experience where someone practices talking on you or to you?
I got to be honest. Like most conversations in the wild, I can't stand. I'm just waiting to get out of there.
Well, yeah. And when he said, when somebody takes too long to get to a story and you're just like,
yeah.
can you just get to it? I do that all the time.
Yeah, you even hate a good story sometimes.
Well, it's like Kamar said, I know what's coming. You know what I mean? I spotted your story 20 miles away. Now I'm just waiting for your fucking sad little punchline. Let's just get to it.
But there's a real
know?
sinking feeling from general interest. I'll give you my attention to, oh no, this is going, oh no. Oh, you're just wasting, oh no. We're all going to feel worse. Had I not had this conversation with you, it would be better. I have one autistic guy I talk with. Everything is like an interview. You would think like he's jotting down notes, but he's one of my better friends.
It's sad because there are so few people that I know who actually care about the things that I care about.
Yeah, support groups. I mean,
Like I'm not involved in enough groups of like-minded individuals.
do you think if you were walking
Dude.
past some strangers, you overheard Bigfoot, you'd
I
do a
would
180
immediately make friends with those people. I've never encountered one.
I had this conversation with Mary the other day where I was like, I have very few friends in general. And I was like, the ones I do have hold zero common interest with me whatsoever. Like Simon and I, again, I only see Simon on Sundays now.
That's a
Sure,
common
but
interest.
like I don't have a single friend, close friend who's into photography, any like podcast. Like I'd love to do another podcast. There's no one that has any interest in doing that. There's nothing I do that I have a friend that's like, oh, that's cool. I'd like to do that. You know what I mean? That just doesn't exist.
But maybe that's also a product out that we're so old.
Of growing up.
If
I
you're-
was going to
if you're
say,
doing this
like,
when you're
we
22
used to
or
play
whatever,
video games all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
time. That like when I didn't have as many things to do, then it was easier to fit more loosey-goosey things into a day. Like
I'm just saying
sitting around on a Monday and just playing video games. Like
my point is you're never going to get better at the things you enjoy unless you have like a circle of people around you that also enjoy doing it.
yeah. Oh, for sure. And then like how limited am I because I have to talk to 2 people every week who have zero interest in the things I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
I feel for you.
Like
I
I
hate
should
you.
I should be doing a Bigfoot podcast and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm
no
with
one
you.
listen.
But again, if I had more time, like Joe, I'm just so goddamn busy.
Do we think Reggie Watts is super self-aware or super self-unaware?
I think he's both. He's like the perfect mix
He
of
thinks he's a bum on the street who's happy to rub shoulders with
The common man.
or Owen Wilson, and he also just happens to drive an electric Porsche because
he
it's
is
good for the planet.
he's a hobo with a stick and a satchel.
Yeah.
But he gets into a Porsche Taycan or Tacoma or fucking Typhoon and drives to the next town to set his tent up.
But I think he's
No, but it's what it is. He's an oxymoron.
he got comfortable. He started talking about driving on ketamine. Like,
Listen, he sounds like a great dude to hang out with. I'm being serious. He does all the drugs. He talks about really interesting shit. If you just remove the whole rich man car aspect, like that's really the part that just I have no.
I mean, you hate music too, so it'd be tough hanging out with him because everything would be very musical.
I love music. Is he a rapster? Because if he's
Rapster.
not,
No, he's way
you
more-
probably have zero interest.
he's
in
way
his
more
music.
But
improvisation.
he's black, so I'm halfway there, right?
But I'll tell you, 10 years
Well,
ago,
you hate black people, so even more reason
that's
for you
new.
not to listen to the music.
I bought his album.
Reggie Watts.
Yeah.
When?
Yesterday,
Roll back the tape. I said 10 years ago. I don't know if it's the first time I saw him on Rogan or the first time I might have saw him at Just for Laughs.
it sits
Yeah.
right next to his Hotez Jesus book.
And the Jordans, they're all on a shelf.
No, he wore the Jordans the fake Jordans the other day.
I was trying to make a joke,
He
asshole.
wears
He's
them-
got some Omni
he
coins
wears
and a
them
photo of
with
Logan
Prime.
Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Prime bottle.
Nobody knows this.
What? Oh yeah,
About
yeah.
Omni.
That's right. Kamar admitted yesterday, like a man. You know what? I'll give.
Yeah, like a real
I give
man.
Kamar credit. He
He's a
never.
mensch.
He
This
never.
guy's a
Yeah, he
mensch.
doesn't hide behind his mistakes. He's not like, no, I didn't do that. Kamar always comes clean. But yeah,
Even when we don't ask.
But yeah, we watched that CoffeeZilla video where they showed a clip of Logan Paul pumping some shit coin, like it was all coincidental, and then you find out the whole thing was like scripted. And Kamar admitted to us that he went out and bought that coin immediately. Spent 6 hours trying to figure it out. You know what though, Kamar? The good news
Codfish.
is you still have it.
Yeah.
No, that's a great
Yeah.
thing.
I don't think I can password in to see how low it's gone.
My point is simply 5 years from now, if crypto goes crazy again, he might actually get his money back.
That's
Or
it.
if Logan Paul gets assassinated or something, and then everything
Every
to
coin
do with
he- yeah.
him just
Just
becomes
goes
super valuable.
Gangbusters, yeah. Crypto zoo's worth $1 million each.
Have you guys seen Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock?
I mean, like a million years ago.
I don't care. I'll just take a guess.
Fire
It's
it
the
up.
JRE movie game. The time has come again. From Matt and Simon to rack the brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie movie game. Reggie was talking about either loving Star Trek or being on Star Trek, and that's how I tied this together. I decided to search for Spock 3 because in this one, Spock is dead. He dies at the end of Revenge of Khan. You guys remember that one? And this one where they show Genesis, they have to recreate a planet, and that's how they recreate Spock, which is sort of terraforming. Anyone who's young may want to go back. I think it still holds up as one of the greatest Star Trek movies of. Well, these all four were actually great. Starring William Shatner, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, George Takei. What an annoying guy he came out to be, eh? Walter Koenig, Michelle Nichols, Merritt Butler, and Christopher Lloyd was the Klingon bad guy.
No, really? I don't remember that.
Well, he was in so much makeup,
Yeah,
obviously,
okay.
because Alien.
Yes.
But he's also the Marty, 28 million gigawatts. That was almost good, eh?
That was not bad.
I'm ready.
What year do you have, Simon?
I have 1988.
Ooh, I have 87.
Oh, 1984.
Wow. Neither of us close.
I was 9 years old. This is probably the prime of my life. I didn't know how it could fuck up or how life
You're
could
48
crush you
right
down.
now?
Wait, so.
Oh, my fuck.
So what do you got?
Sorry, I said it cost 27 million and it made 164.7.
I said it cost 28 million
Get the fuck out of here.
and it made 256.
Hey, man, they could make a lot for a little back in 1984. Budget
hate this.
16 million.
Well, we're both
16?
both in the
Very
ballpark.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just over.
Well, this isn't Price is Right rules, asshole.
I
Just
forgot
give us
who I
the
am.
fucking box office here, dum-dum.
Box office 87 million.
Oh, wow.
Ugh.
So I was double.
No, I highly recommend people watch this, but you had got to watch this Wrath of Khan before.
Wrath of Khan.
Because Spock's got to die for you. Oh.
Well, now
Don't
you don't
bother
have to
now.
watch anything.
No.
Perfect.
The scene with the little guys in the helmets that almost gave me nightmares. Do you remember that scene?
No.
With the little scorpions that they pull the back of the animal's shell and then they put on the helmet and then mind control. Well, you have to watch it anyways. It'll set you up. That's the movie game.
I hated Star Trek.
Yeah, San Francisco lost.
It's not over. What are you talking about?
Well, it doesn't matter. Atlanta lost.
Yeah, Atlanta fucked everyone.
Joe talks about his little treat might be a bowl of pasta. Reggie orders 4 cheeseburgers from the same restaurant to see which one he likes. I think he's just disconnected in the same way Joe is. But Reggie is sure he's a simple man, and I love him for it.
If you were super healthy right now, Kamar, what would your cheat meal be? Same question to Simon.
So pizza is one of the things you couldn't have.
I assume, yeah, that'd be pretty carb heavy.
Probably pizza. Chinese food, chicken fried rice.
I feel like you could maybe get away with Chinese food if you're eating healthy, right?
I like Chinese food a lot. No, but I don't. What am I talking about? You know what I want to eat? I want to just incorporate plain yogurt, granola, honey, and a berry.
That's
one
your
single
cheat
berry.
meal? Who
No,
are you,
that's
the
just-
Rock?
that's-
Fuck?
That's
No,
what
he
I
says
just
he
want
wants
to eat.
to incorporate that.
That's
in his-
just want to eat.
What do you think Reggie's net worth is?
6 million.
I was going to say 5.
2.
Whoa.
Tough times.
So all he has is a house and a Porsche.
Tough times.
He's living in the Porsche right now?
And his
I think he
harmonica.
gets those Porsches for free, which is
Well, he got one for free for doing this episode, for sure.
the problem with this whole thing. We think he's real rich because he drives those Porsches, but I think he does commercials for them and stuff.
Well, they pay for him to go around. I thought Joe flexed a bit when he said he had 2 cars brought over to the Autobahn in Germany.
Yeah.
Don't know where I was for that scene, but I guess that's 2 cars on a boat.
Yep. They don't fly them over.
Well, they could.
Nope.
I'm sure they fly vehicles.
Listen, Joe is the
Who's they?
everyman, all right?
Military does.
He's totally still connected with the common person. He understands what our struggles are and totally gets where, middle
And in
America
Germany, I could
is
drive a
coming
rental,
from.
but I sort of want my own car here.
I mean, I get it. Your car's tuned and whatever. Dude, he's rich.
You're
Why-
a real POS if you're bringing your car over to another country by boat.
The carbon
Okay,
footprint
a
of all
real
that.
POS.
Why?
And I've never
Why?
used the expression POS.
Why? What makes you a piece
before.
of shit? So you've worked hard your whole life to get the things you want, and then you can't use them. Why are you a piece of shit?
Just rent a goddamn car over there.
I like
you can
sticking up for
rent a
this 'cause
really
you see
nice
yourself
car.
in that position one day.
No,
but
I wouldn't do it.
I feel like
I'm
he's
with-
done it before or something.
Oh yeah,
Well, no, he planned on doing it, but now
Now
knows
he can.
he'd live under our scrutiny.
I drive a Honda Fit. What are we doing here?
That's the movie game.
You're flying that over
There's one cute part
on a hang
Fuck the
glider.
emissions. Yeah, fuck the emissions.
where they got in. Well, speaking of emissions, they got into the sound of combustion engines.
Yeah.
And you know
we're not talking about
my favorite movie is
We already did a
chain of
movie game.
movies is Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
That movie dies if they're all in electrics.
Oh, just no sound at all.
A third of the movie is something making a sound. And
That's
if it's
why
just
Vin
silent-
Diesel can be the lead in that movie because 3/4 of it is just engines revving.
Just engines revving.
that totally,
Half of his
that totally
dialogue is
makes
just him
sense.
going broom, broom, broom.
The Honda won an Academy Award, but
Yeah.
Vin Diesel didn't.
And at one point,
Best supporting actor.
wah,
Best supporting actor, the Toyota Supra.
Kamar saw that joke coming from like
He wrote that
around the
for you a
block.
week ago.
last week, I knew you were going to do it. Joe gives Jamie a hard time for scrolling. And Reggie goes, "Oh, you're scrolling too fast," which I don't think they were talking about how ribbing's so fun, but he completely was making it. I think he did a reflex and didn't want to have done it. But
Yeah, Reggie went, "Oh, you're scrolling too fast," and Joe's like, we got to wrap this up, eh? It's coming up on 2 hours and 5 minutes."
it's like that. And then when I thought it was going to get exciting, because Reggie can be very agreeable to Joe's points of view. Just I see that. But he had a hard no or hard pass on the Tesla truck. And Joe stuck to his guns.
The truck that he showed him after the Tesla truck is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Everything he showed him was the coolest.
It's like
fucking thing
just
I've
a
ever seen.
souped up version of like a normal truck. So it's not a stupid, like I agree with Reggie. That Cybertruck is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen. It's so dumb looking.
And maybe not even practical.
It's like
if I won
they
one-
gave it to Elon to make, and he has zero fucking style.
You wanna
Like,
make it
look at
cool.
him.
I guarantee you someone put it on the Christmas card as a joke. And Elon was like, I actually love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I'm sure.
and then they're like,
I bet
"Oh, we have to make this fucking
he
thing?"
designed it. It has Elon written all over it. But
it looks perfect for running over people in the mines of Africa, trying to get to your home.
yeah, totally. No, it's just so dumb looking. It's so dumb. That truck is so stupid. But actually, every Tesla is super ugly. I've always thought they were ugly cars. And I felt like people were willing to drive an ugly car because
Save the planet.
Save the planet. But and then Joe describing like the steering wheel and the buttons for the horn and the buttons for the flasher. Nothing makes any sense. He's like, well, this is the optimal way to do it. Yeah, it may be the optimal way to do it, but we've been driving cars for 100 years, and this is how we're used to doing it.
Yeah.
Listen to this fucking everything.
Well, no, you just like,
No,
you
but
hate,
in 100
listen,
years,
you hate
that
everything.
might be the right
Sociopath.
way.
You hate everything
Sycophant.
new. I'm a sycophant. You're a piece of garbage. You
Yeah,
know
you're
that?
inhuman because humans like new stuff.
Yeah.
Because all we do is make new stuff for ourselves. You're the alien.
Yeah,
you're
you just
the
hate
Bigfoot.
change. Simon
I'm Bigfoot.
I'm willing to take that. on
despise
completely.
change.
One of
I despise change for change's sake.
Ooh, Tampa Bay. old
Boom, mic
uniforms.
drop. Let's go.
One of your favorite trucks is the Back to the Future truck.
100%. That truck is amazing.
which one?
The one that Marty
Pulls up in at the end.
Imagines getting in the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
ends
yeah,
up
yeah,
with
yeah,
in
yeah.
the end. No, it is a wash of.
With a way hotter girl, too.
It's a Toyota truck, just which became the Tacoma best-selling truck.
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
true.
Performance is basically leveled out.
Do you know
Reggie
what
said.
skateboard he had in
They
that
missed
movie?
the field goal.
Vision?
Nope. Do you know what skateboard he had in that movie?
Wow.
H Street?
Actually, now I don't even remember. I thought
Psycho-stick?
it was a laser, but maybe I'm
Kevin
wrong.
Stab. Performance is basically leveled out.
What do you mean?
Like the car, they were talking one car, I think, is 0 to 60 at 1.6 or
Yeah.
whatever it is. The speed light, 1 second.
Speed of
Will,
light.
1 second will be the fastest you can do that. or probably not, because then they talk about G-force. And I think that's where our big problem with extraterrestrial
Terrestrial.
travel really hits a block. The human body can't go
If we figured
fast
out,
enough to do something.
there could be a way where and again, I know nothing. I'm just saying there could be a way where you figure out like put us in water, like a suspension tank in water, so the G force is less. You know what I mean? That sort of.
I know you just whatever.
Just spitballing
maybe
here.
you have to fill the body with water and then it's pressurized to travel.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
technology
I get
could
what you're
be.
saying though. We can't move the speed of light because it'd kill you.
And again with these, he was talking about going with the Blue Devils, I guess they're called. We call them the snowbirds here. Anyways, aerobatic, and those guys have to be like
Yeah, it's crazy. They're flying.
mesomorph type because they go when they're breathing or whatever. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm butchering this.
I meant to tell you guys something earlier about my week, but it was a Volterra, the board.
Okay. Never heard of it.
Yeah, I remember though. I listened to this thing this week on remote viewing, guys.
Yeah. Men
They're-
who stare at goats.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
There is a YouTube channel called Area 52.
Okay.
The guy does a 3-part series. They're just like 40 minutes a piece on this remote viewing stuff. Really, really interesting. It's called like Project Looking Glass. No, fuck. I can't even. Stargate. Something like that. Anyways. But the last one is all about this guy who does this remote viewing. He doesn't know what he's looking at. Okay. So, because they give you a sealed envelope and you have to,
Guess what's on it.
yeah, pretty
Or
much.
see what's on it.
You're seeing what's on it and going to that place or that time or whatever. This guy sees like this giant pyramid next to a crater, blah, 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 describes it all. At the end of the thing, he goes to look on the card and it's Mars 1 million years ago. That's what he had remote viewed to. And that the pyramid he was looking at was on the edge of this giant impact crater.
Okay.
So it means that it had to be built after whatever hit that crater. And I guess what he had seen was that in this giant pyramid, like 10 times the size of the Egyptian pyramids, it was a chamber where all these, like a whole civilization of people were in suspended animation,
You want to
waiting,
speed this up?
waiting for
You're supposed to finish the sentence.
waiting for their compatriots to come back and take them out of suspended animation. Like once they found a suitable planet,
Okay.
that's us. And we don't even know that we're supposed to go back there.
We're waiting.
No, we're supposed to go back there to revive them.
Oh.
To bring them back to Earth. But we don't even know. We've forgotten that they're even there.
Isn't that what Prometheus is about?
Kinda. Except for maybe Elon, who is
So-
the only one driving towards
So when we
Mars.
do show up there, why are you so bad, bro? We just got here.
Amazing story though. Like
Yeah.
just so fun. I
so
love
fun.
it.
It's
I
worth
love
the
it,
interruption,
yeah.
definitely. So back to the G-force. We know that that's the limitation.
Yeah.
That's how any of these things have to be drones.
Yeah. Most of them. Well,
The UFO footage, anything zipping around, there's no way there's a person in there.
we don't know that. In a super advanced.
Well,
Hear me out. If you
the
figured
force
out-
field
if
You
exists.
don't know anything. Haven't you ever watched like Flight of the Navigator, let's say? The little kid's in there, he's flying the thing with his hands. They are going Mach whatever, breaking the whatever. They don't feel a goddamn thing in there. It's totally stabilized.
My
Because
point,
of a force field.
Kamar, my point was simply if a civilization has figured out how to move through galaxies, there's a chance that they figured out how to move.
Well, they have. I'm saying that's our limitation.
Yes, that is. I agree with you. I agreed with you before. Yeah.
Have you seen where the guy is underwater and he takes a bottle and breathes into it and then closes it and then swims back up and it explodes?
No.
Yeah, it's cool. Just the point being is I think there's biological, physical limitations on our bodies on how fast it can move. especially in with our atmosphere, our rules of physics. This is what I'm just saying. There
Well,
could be
that's why
there could
they
be UFOs with beings from other places, but anything that is a man-made technology, I'm sure, is a pilotless or captainless, pilotless vehicle.
I wouldn't be so sure about anything.
I just think just how the cars can't get faster.
They can. They have.
But you just agreed with me. They're about to be level out. Whether it's a second, there won't be a car that go to 0 to 60 in
What does that
half a
have to
second.
do with people being in manned or unmanned spaceships?
The limitations of our body on G forces.
What he's saying is
moving
G forces
fast.
alone.
But they're not humans in there necessarily.
Oh well, that's a whole different. I'm saying,
But
for
his
us,
whole thing is it's a living being in there. It cannot be a living being. You're
Can't be a
saying
human being
You're
in
saying
there.
it could be some sort of drone that they've put in a drone.
Why could it not be a living being?
because the
What he's saying
physics
is
on the
given-
body, the effects. Sorry,
What he was saying is given the G forces, we currently absolutely could never travel that fast.
or you'd be Jello when you came
What
back.
if they had something
Yes,
on the inside of
he
their
agrees
ship?
with
We all
you
agree
the
that.
many what ifs. He agrees with you that there are many
You
what
might
ifs.
have to fill the body with Jello for it to withstand or have the bones taken out and then put back in when they land. I don't
Maybe they don't have bones.
Okay. I'm saying humans in advanced stuff that goes faster than anything we ever made, I don't think can be done.
If we made those things,
If we also do.
if we made the Tic Tac, I agree with you. I think it's a drone.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. But if the aliens made the Tic Tac,
Maybe they don't have bones. Maybe
we are in
physics
total. We're in
don't,
total
affect them.
agreement. We're in total agreement.
That's what I was trying to get you to.
Interesting idea. A glitch in the simulation. We see something that we're not supposed to see. That could be an explanation for these things.
Unless, just going back, because
Reggie loves the simulation.
I have to be contrary. If they not even back engineered it, if they got a spaceship from the aliens, if the Tic Tac is ours,
Yeah.
but it's not ours, then maybe they figured out a way that we can survive in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Reggie brought Hollow Moon to Joe.
Yeah, Joe has
And
no
Joe
time
immediately
for
said,
Hollow Moon.
"There's no. Do you know how long it would take to build that?" And I said, "Well, to check out your pyramids or anything you want. How long it took to build? And what if it's a craft that has accumulated all this space dust? So it's the quarter size of the Earth, but the actual ship of it is a tenth of the Earth, and that's all just you going through the universe for years collecting."
That's so interesting. Like the actual moon spaceship is shiny silver metal, but those are like barnacles that you would get in the ocean.
Through a billion
that
years.
Oh, I fucking love
Love
it.
it too. I
Well,
love
it could be
it
by
too.
design too, right?
Yeah, to make it look like something that
That's it.
should
You
be
design
up in
it
the
to
sky.
collect all the dust.
Well, that's
as
the
you-
whole
And there's
thing
a
with
shield.
Oumuamua
Yeah.
that our friend Avi Loeb saw.
As if you remember his name.
Well, because he's been on so many things
Oh,
I listen to, not just Joe Rogan.
Gotcha.
But he was looking at a very weird looking asteroid that he thought was maybe a spaceship in disguise.
Yeah.
The ship doesn't have to be that big, Joe.
I mean, that's something we would do.
Joe is so, for sure.
Like 100%. If we could
We
figure out
would
how to
do-
levitate anything so it doesn't need propulsion in the normal sense, we would disguise it as a rock 100%.
Look at
Why
duck
wouldn't you?
blinds. Look at,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Insects that look like trees.
Joe is so quick to dismiss things that he is like, he deems too far woo.
We all are.
Well, you all are. I
No, you
guess.
are too.
No, I am not.
You're very contrarian. There's a lot of things during this show that we've said that you've been like, no, impossible, no.
Only things that like don't make sense. You didn't say
there we go.
fairies exist. And I was like, no, that's impossible.
Yeah, okay, my point remains. We all have our limits to what we're willing to
And I don't
stretch.
think anything you said today, I said, no, impossible.
Even then, 10 minutes ago, you said,
I don't think those words have ever come out of my mouth.
okay, even then, 10 minutes ago, you said that if someone used to mention flat earth to you, they automatically were done. So you obviously used to have a
Yeah,
limit
I
at
used
least.
to have a line. Now I have no line.
Okay, you've lost the line. I get
After
it. You're lineless now.
I'm lineless.
It's like a porn star.
yeah.
There are no limits. Once you do a gangbang, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's a little
double A,
ass
double
to
V.
mouth once
Yeah.
you've been part of a gangbang?
Joe's favorite theory is the fake moon landing, and then he lists off a whole litany of reasons because Reggie comes with the too many people involved.
That's my least favorite one
That
because I broke that one for you right away, right?
Easily.
So easily. Everybody who is
the
there doing it
compartmentalized,
thinks
I understand,
they're
yeah.
doing it. That's the easiest way.
And for sure, they are doing something.
No, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They landed that thing on the moon, except it was just a video game they were playing.
And the astronauts were on crazy hallucinogenics.
No, those guys were involved.
Okay.
The three astronauts have to be involved. It doesn't work. But that explains, Kamar, why they're so disgruntled when they come back, because they've just had to pull the wool over America's eyes.
And it's the reason why would you go through all that? Because it was a race, PR, whatever.
100%.
Why wouldn't you go back? Well, because we did what we pretended we had to do. And
Why didn't we go back?
interested.
Oh, well, nobody was interested anymore. Well, we're also not interested in, like, if I was an American, we're not interested in you fighting wars in Afghanistan, but you do that.
The only reason I
true.
take Reggie's
you, Matt.
opinion with a grain of salt is he has a friend who just got awarded a contract to build lunar modules.
Well, so he's in on it.
Yeah. Portobello mushrooms are absolutely disgusting.
Terrible. All
One
mushrooms.
of the worst. Mushrooms are the worst. Portobellos are the worst of the worst.
If I were to meet Joe and I'm whipping up something and he served that to me just the way he liked it, I would probably leave.
If
don't know if
someone
I'd
said,
leave.
if someone,
You would eat a portobello mushroom?
No, I politely.
Burger?
Well, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to say, I don't eat mushrooms.
if
And Joe's
someone
going to go, that's
invited
cool.
me to their house
Glad I talked to you before it
for
happened.
a steak, and they served me a portobello steak, I would
then I'm leaving.
slap them in the face.
Then I'm leaving. That's different.
I would throw my plate on the floor
You
and
think you're
slap
getting
them
this
in the
juicy
face.
hunk of venison. You already brought your own knife that you had a friend made for him to sign.
It's like, you know
it's a
when-
portobello mushroom.
You know when somebody makes a veggie burger and they're just like, oh, you got to try this. You'll never notice the difference between this and a veggie. Like, remember it happened to us with Mary.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, yeah, I got you guys burgers.
Yeah.
And then we bit into it and it was disgusting veggie burger. And we're like, Mary, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I thought you wouldn't notice.
It's just like the Beyond the
You
Meat.
thought we wouldn't notice.
I'd like to see someone get away with that.
I tried the Beyond the Meat burger and I was like,
Maybe it was a Beyond
I was
the
like,
Meat
this is
burger.
the most noticeable piece of shit ever. Terrible.
Yeah. I think you can get away maybe with some chilies, bulgur, or there's certain things that sort of take a ground beef sort of, you sort of for a second think, I think it is.
Did you say
Probably is a
bulgur?
bulgur's kind of wheat that sort of turns
Yeah, I
into-
just can't believe you have that in your lexicon.
I asked Moby once if he would eat meat if they'd make it. And he said, in a second. Moby said, in a second. He's dying to eat
That's
meat.
where I lost all. Where this guy
it's
lost all
just-
credibility.
He's
for
protecting
me.
the animals.
He quoted Moby.
If they made artificial meat, would you eat it? Eat a second. Moby is holding on to wrap his lips around some real genetically made beef.
If
I
they
saw a
made
video-
genetically grown human meat, would you eat that?
No.
In a second.
You know that 2% of hot dogs have human DNA in them? You're welcome.
That's not
That's
true.
a
Is
post,
that
Joe.
true?
That's a
Google
post. That's how you start a post,
Oh,
Joe,
yeah, you're right.
off.
Sorry.
man.
My
We go
bad.
off for
Is that true?
7 to 8 minutes on that. And in Reggie's own words, he said, I am the worst. Because he's the walking contradiction
Yep.
on all fronts. Wants to be healthier, doesn't want to be healthier. Does a lot of drugs, doesn't think everyone should do drugs. Believes in everything, believes in nothing. And he might be a bit of a Larry.
I give it a 2.5.
I give it a 4.
You're still in your positivity kick.
Okay, so this is what it says, okay, Matt?
Yep.
This bizarre information came from a single document released on October 17th by the consumer marketing arm of a company called Clear Labs, which had found traces of human DNA in 2% of the products sampled. But don't worry, there's no evidence that hot dog lovers are unwitting cannibals.
I'm not sure what to feel about that. It sounds like it still could be true. Either way, I'm not a big hot dog guy.
Oh, and it turns out that Clear Food, no, I'm just, they make pork hot dog.
Hot dogs go bad.
Everything goes bad, doesn't it?
No, but I
Honey
bought
doesn't.
a pack of hot dogs like a month ago.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't tight. It's a brand new package. Do you know what I mean?
They get
It
like
just had a little bit of give, and the hot dogs were a little bit spicy, but
Oh,
a little bit spicy.
yeah, just
Did you eat rotten hot dogs?
I think so.
can you rate this episode so we can be done with it?
Yes. 2.
2. There we go. All right, that's an episode. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Maybe you're willing to go a step further. We have a Patreon. If you want to support the show and get some extra content, you can head over to patreon.com/JREE. You can support the show for as little as $5 a month. For that $5, you'll get a bunch of shit. Whatever. Go check it out. Or don't. I don't really care. You can also watch the show on YouTube, youtube.com/JREE. Sometimes we do live streams. We might do one for next week's UFC, Saturday afternoon.
Possibly.
Maybe. At least I will. Fuck it.
Possible.
Okay. Either way, that's a show. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great week. We hope you enjoy your weekend. And as usual,
Keep
Homo no lady. Keep your eyes open.